2 of Clips and Dip. We start the new seasons the day of the draft is a rule that we made up, and we're following it. I am Chuck Mockler, usually joined by Will Updike and Adam Oslin. Today, it's just Chuck and Adam. Carl was supposed to be here. Carl Tart, he had to go to Taco John's because he's out of town and the whole crew is getting dinner.
I'm sorry, that's his excuse for the draft? The big
he's out of
Clippers
town.
fan that
work.
is?
Yeah. Wait, also, it's his first time at Taco John's. Have you ever been to Taco John's?
I'd like to go.
Taco John's is great. You can get these things called potato olays. I'll get into it. We'll get into that later. We'll get more in depth than that.
We got time.
We got time. We are going to be talking, though. Adam, we have to talk about the fact that we did an entire hour-long episode. For those of you not watching on the YouTube stream, Adam just got up and left because yesterday we did a full episode on the Marcus Morris to the Clippers trade, and it didn't happen. Adam, why don't you break down to everyone what happened and talk a little bit for maybe some of the new viewers?
We trusted the wrong people is what happened.
Yeah.
No, we knew this was a possibility, okay? We said it yesterday until the teams finalize it and release a press release. You never know what could happen. And the trade fell apart, fell through the cracks in the 11th hour. Boston was able to still get Kristaps Porzingis. Now CP3 is moved from Washington, but the Clippers did not end up picking up Malcom Brogdon. I would like to say this. I was quite annoyed at some of the comments afterwards. In hindsight, from people saying, you dumbasses, you jumped the gun on that one a little too early on this one. Yeah, I didn't see one person say a damn thing when we originally were doing a live stream say, oh, you guys shouldn't be doing this right now. You don't know. The trade might not go through. I didn't see anyone in the comment section when we posted the podcast on YouTube say it either until it ended up happening like 5 hours later.
You're upset.
I'm a little bit irked.
Adam's upset. I thought it was funny. I think it showed how excited people were to not have Marcus Morris on the team anymore. I'm not saying that's a good thing. I'm saying it felt like it was a release of some tension. But so what happened was, also we're going to talk about the draft and, whoever they end up picking at number 30, if that's where they stay. But so for those of you who are, don't really know what happened or why the trade fell through, because it is kind of crazy to see a trade just be like, oh, they're parting ways now. Like, hadn't seen that in a while. The Clippers asked the Celtics either for more information on Brogdon's tendon situation or to do another, a physical of their own. And the Celtics basically said, no, like, deal's off.
Yeah.
Is what I heard.
Celtics fans that are upset with the Clippers, why don't you guys blame yourself that you had this deadline last night with Kristaps Porzingis and therefore the Clippers couldn't get the full medical information in on Malcom Brogdon? Okay? Right. They were negotiating in good faith.
I do have to say, credit to the Clippers. Credit to the Clips for just being like, we want to learn more about this. We're not even going to try and do it. And you know that someone has to be so hurt for the Clippers to be like, we don't want you.
I don't get it, Charles. I don't understand what the joke is here.
But also so that didn't happen. Marcus Morris is still on the team. No idea what the locker room vibes are going to be if he's still on the team when the season starts. We're going to wait because they're obviously looking to shop Marcus Morris.
And do you think that's a possibility? That they could start the year with Marcus after trying to trade him like this. And I'm sure he knew he would be a trade candidate going into this offseason anyways. And he said his goodbyes on Twitter to Clipper Nation last night when he thought the trade was going through. A player involved in it was saying goodbye. Right. Multiple players were. Yet you guys want to blame us? You all can kiss my mother.
All right, you gotta let it go, man. I gotta rein. This is what happens when Will's not here.
Adam unhinged.
No, I don't know if he'll be. If he is on the team opening night, I don't think he's gonna be playing. I think they'll be in a we're trying to find a trade for him mode. Would be my guess.
I would suspect at this point, and there are two ways to look at it when you're a player.
They're willing to give up draft capital to get him for someone who they already knew was kind of hurt. I think they want to move him.
We saw this with the Lakers when they thought they had a deal done for CP3 back in 2011. Pau Gasol and Lamar Odom were both involved. Lamar couldn't get over the fact that he was being shopped and eventually ended up getting traded to the Dallas Mavericks. Powell came back, played 2 more seasons with the Lakers. So it can go one of 2 ways sometimes, these things.
Right. Yeah. I don't know. It's gonna. Well, we'll see what happens, I guess. But I would bet he's gone before the season. Some other trade talk that happened. Apparently, the Knicks and the Clippers talked about the potential Paul George trade. Obviously, by the time this episode's come out, the Clippers did not do Paul George for number 3, Simons and filler. That did not happen. There were conversations. Yeah, there were conversations, but apparently the Blazers weren't really interested in it from all the literature out there about it. But what about
where you at, Mark Stein? Where you at now? I'm coming after everybody.
Dude, you're fired up. But let's talk about, because the Knicks and the Clippers thing was that was a new piece of information we all kind of got today. It cooled off because the Knicks were supposedly, and not just the Knicks, due to contract and injury concerns for Paul George specifically. What did we think of this Knicks talk? What would the Knicks possibly have that the Clippers would trade Paul George for? That's what I'm not really understanding about that.
I would guess it would be centered around. Now, Isaiah Hartenstein did opt out, so he is a free agent now, I believe.
Oh,
but Obi Toppin would be somebody that the Clippers would be very interested in, I would think, to fill that 4 position.
We all need to work. Now we're making up for Paul George here. So, like,
that's a lot of salary because Obi's just on his rookie deal.
Nowhere
still.
near as good as PG like ever was or is, I guess. But
something around that plus picks, a few other players, role player types, I would guess have to be involved just to make the salary compensation work. It would be difficult. I don't know. They're not getting. I don't think they're bringing in Paul George to get rid of Jalen Brunson, who they just signed.
No, they're not going to let Julius Randle. Like, the Clippers wouldn't trade Julius Randle for Paul George. RJ Barrett. Like, I just don't know what the conversations even were centered around trade wise. You know what I mean?
Mitchell Robinson for he and Big Zoo to form some new 2 towers.
Yeah,
I don't
know.
Let's
play them both at the same time. Let's start those conversations. But I thought this was interesting, mostly from the fact that when you take a step back, it's kind of crazy that all of this talk is just out about supposedly trying to trade Paul George. Again, we're going into locker room situations that just next year, it feels like we're just messy right now, is how it feels. I said this on the Clippers pod account. The Clippers are back to normal, but now everything's just messier somehow.
Yeah, and you also have to wonder with them pursuing Malcom Brogdon,
RJ,
with them allegedly being interested in CP3. What does this mean for Russell Westbrook and his feelings?
I think he's back. I think Russ is back for sure. I'm not super excited about that. I guess I'd rather have Russ than CP3, but
we're talking about guys feeling like they weren't being prioritized and they could get bitter and a little bit scorned over the fact that they aren't the number 1 option that the Clippers were maybe looking at. Now, all along, they could have been saying, Russ, we're interested in you and bringing in another guy.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean we don't want you back. But the situation with paying him $3.8 million, which is looking like the most they could offer him, if he wasn't looking at it the same way from the standpoint of, hey, these guys might not care about me as much as I thought. Or if they were trading Paul George, would he come back, his guy? So there's a lot in flux there too.
I would say it doesn't. Yeah, CP3 to the Warriors. I do think that means Russ is maybe coming back, but
it's got to be more likely. You would hope.
I would think, because right now, Gordon's contract guarantees, I think, in like 5 days. He goes to his 8?
I think it's the 26th or 28th, somewhere in there, ends of this month.
Yeah, so that kicks in like 5 days. And I guess he's our starting point right now.
I suppose under contract. It's not Terrence Mann.
What if it's him, Terrence, PG, Kawhi, Zoo?
Bones Highland.
Fantastic. I don't think Bones. I love Bones. I don't think he's ready to start. But yeah, so how are we feeling now that as we inch closer to the Clippers pick, which we're going to talk about some prospects who we like at 30, which is just basically Robert Flom's articles because he writes really good stuff about the Clippers drafts, options. How are we feeling?
I'm feeling pretty good since we got somebody watching us from Sydney, Australia right now.
Shout out
Lane
Lane.
Mellish.
If you're watching us on YouTube, thank you so much. We're at Clippers Podcast. We've just been doing these live things when stuff happens. If you're listening to us on Spotify or wherever you're listening to us, thank you for that too. But if you want to see what our faces look like for whatever reason, go to YouTube.
For me, there's like two extremes going on right now, two possibilities where they blow it up or they run it back with 2-1-3.
I think the blow it up
try
is
to reinforce. The Scoot thing could still happen just because it didn't happen right when the pick went down. We see this all the time on draft night where guys end up changing hats, where somebody ends up getting moved. I can't see them. Okay, let's talk about this. If not Scoot, what about Dame being an option now? If Portland is saying
a lot of people
we're going to run it back without Damian Lillard and build around Scoot Henderson, does Dame now finally become available because they're keeping Scoot? I can't see them keeping both of them and legitimately being a contender this season, like apparently Damian Lillard finally wants them to be.
That is a good point because there was some stuff about how like Dame had talked to Scoot and all these other things where it kind of felt like, oh, that's a nice little story to happen right now, right after everyone's talking about how they're maybe not, like he doesn't want that to happen. Can the Blazers make a play for a veteran guy to bring in without either of those guys?
I guess they could. It just depends
they could
on
gut it, right? Like if they really believe in Scoot, the Blazers could just gut their depth and try and make
Sharp, Simons. They still do have pieces. Look, Anthony Simons is a really talented young player that I think teams would be interested in. It just, if you're not getting Scoot, what's the high end type of player you're able to get back in return, as opposed to including Scoot? And therefore you might have a possibility with somebody like PG-13, which has been the rumor for weeks now. Even before Mark Stein started talking about it, we all were, because the Portland Trail Blazers were allegedly interested in trading the number 3 pick.
Yeah.
That could change. It comes down to Damian Lillard, his prerogative. What does he want? How highly does he think of Scoot? Is he getting caught up? Did he see my Baron Davis comp? Is that enough?
Did he see it? Do we know? We don't know that he didn't. You know,
is that enough to make him believe that they could actually compete right now with a young guy? Because he does offer so much immediately with just his downhill pressure, with his defense. There's 2 traits that translate to the NBA right away. If you want to go after his shooting and knowing he has to develop that more and more as his career goes along, well, can he help you in other ways immediately? Yeah, I think he can. And I think that's why a lot of Clipper Nation would be interested still in trying to make a run at him.
You see, so we got something in the chat from David Hellman. Can we just swap PG for Dame? I don't know if that how would you feel about that, Adam?
I love Damian Lillard. He's my favorite non-Clipper. I also don't think he's a better player than Paul George because, well, he makes you more of a liability on the front end of your defense at your point of attack, because for years he just hasn't. Some of it's just due to his size, but he's not a good enough defender. That's why they've struggled for so long. They've never been a great defense in Portland. It's not because they haven't had talent behind him at times. Robert Covington was there. They had Hassan Whiteside there for a while, back when he was still considered a pretty darn good defender. But if you're getting beat off the dribble that much, it just collapses your defense and the holes start to open up from there. It's really difficult. With he and CJ, 2 undersized guys in the starting lineup, they were never going to be able to be good enough on that end. So, look, I love Damian Lillard. If there was a way to bring him in and keep Kawhi and PG, that's the Will Updike dream, I think. You do it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Otherwise, Portland, I would never see them trading their legacy player for the guy that he hit a shot against to win a playoff series in Paul George and be able to sell that to the fans. It's one thing to bring in Paul George to play with him, and that would be interesting, considering there was some beef back in the bubble. There was a lot of chatter between those two and Patrick Beverley, even on Instagram. But I can't see it with just trading Dame straight up for Paul George, because they're really in the same situation then contract-wise,
Right.
especially with him having an extension coming up.
That's a good call. I like this question from David Hellman because it also brings up something I want to talk about that happened on Clippers Twitter. David Hellman asks, can Winger hook us up with Tyus Jones? Tyus Jones on this team would be very fun. I would like that.
Okay.
That'd be a fun time. We're not talking about the other thing right now. We're going to talk about that in a sec. As a basketball player, Tyus Jones, no real idea what the Wizards are doing. They're obviously blowing it up, and Tyus Jones might be too good for that team.
I like what they did today. When the full details of the trade with Bradley Beal came out and they got 6 second-round picks, and then getting Jordan Poole, is that what we're going to be talking about a little bit later?
Yeah. Well, they just got to blow the whole thing up. Like, no, I was talking about the tweet that someone put out on Clippers Twitter that they would trade Paul George.
Jacob's dumbass? Sorry.
Oh, no, we're not. We can't give him press. Who would trade Paul George.
At some point, my friend, you're sacrificing credibility for attention.
In a heartbeat, he said.
Not
he said in a heartbeat.
What you should be doing.
He would do that.
Here's the thing about Tyus Jones. I was critical of Michael Winger yesterday regarding that trade because as much as I like him, he's going to be a free agent after this season. What I could see happening is he and Jordan Poole are feasting and putting up, I'm not saying Shaq, Kobe gif like numbers like Tyus Jones and Jordan Poole with the Washington Wizards are going to look like this. And you show the little Shaq and Kobe footage. It's going to be like that. They're going to put up numbers. They're not going to win a lot, but Tyus Jones at the trade deadline, I think could become very interesting for a team that wants to take themselves over the top.
Actively trying to, yeah.
And then he gets his first-round pick maybe for Tyus Jones. Because, they only got 1 first-round pick out of Bradley Beal and Kristaps Porzingis. But getting Jordan Poole today for that price was phenomenal, I thought, with the Golden State Warriors selling that low. So Tyus Jones, he's going to probably average 20 and 9 assists per game on the season. I think so.
Yeah, true. It might not be pretty, but I bet he gets up there.
In his dozen starts this year with the Memphis Grizzlies, he was at 21 and 8. So I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility. The field goal percentage will likely take a dip. He'll be forced to take more tough shots, but that's one of the more talented, and I think he's 27 now, but young point guards with the best assist to turnover ratio in the league. And I guess the Washington Wizards have the top 4 guys when it comes to assist to turnover ratio.
That's a Will Updike team right there. That's that's like Will's favorite stat is assist to turnover ratio. Mine is rebound percentage, which also doesn't really mean anything, but it's fun. Vindication is asking on the stream, any chance we can still unload Morris tonight? Sure. But they also have time, I guess. Like he's probably the next Clipper to be traded. I think that's a pretty safe thing to say. I don't know if it'll happen tonight. No one's giving us draft picks in any world for Marcus Morris. So
yeah,
I don't know.
It's going to have to be something where there's a sweetener involved, where there's a second-round pick, where another player like Robert Covington or Amir Coffey, who was included in the trade, the initial deal before it was nixed yesterday. I did text with Brian Seaman. He's doing okay.
Okay.
On the Amir Coffey front.
Yeah, he was freaked out for a second.
Understandably. I mean, the Coffey puns runneth over.
Doesn't get to use him very much because he never really plays. But yeah, that's a good.
I had just posted the Amir Coffey game-sealing shot against the Philadelphia 76ers in Philly when they came back on Doc down 20, where Brian said, "Coffey is for closers." And it's so good. I had posted a minute before the trade deal fell through the cracks. And then I was like, oh, we got to delete this. Amir's still at the Clippers.
And, yeah. All right, so I think we got to take a quick fake commercial break. If you're listening to this on audio, if you're on streamers, going to do a quick pause. But we're going to talk about some people that the Clippers should maybe draft.
Also, maybe the people watching us live can keep us abreast of situations in case we're not paying attention to Twitter because we're talking. You don't have 2
windows open?
I got a couple of them, but I'm still trying to look at the camera. I got a Woj window open. I got a Shams window open right now. Woj throwing shade at Shams for acting like the Charlotte Hornets were actually going to take Scoot earlier in the day.
Well, so wait, let's talk about that for a sec, because Shams is sponsored by a betting company.
DraftKings.
FanDuel. I think it's FanDuel. It's one of the betting companies. So he's affecting lines. Like he's affecting betting lines when he reports anything. Anything out of the ordinary that Shams reports will affect that situation's line.
Brandon Miller was like minus
a little messy.
Yeah, it is.
Am I wrong?
Now the NBA is trying to embrace gambling and stuff, but earlier in the day, Brandon Miller was a minus 800 to go at pick number 2. And then after Shams reported that they were interested in Scoot still, he went to being a minus 200, I think it was.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So a huge swing.
People were just, and that's partly because of that, and probably because people bet on it. When you bet on something like it's crazy. David Hellman with a great bit. The front office is currently working hard to fill a positional need for Ontario tonight. So, all right, we're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to talk about what this draft pick is going to do. Like what just the ceiling of whoever we draft is going to be. It doesn't matter who it is, but we are drafting someone apparently in the first round is going to be a guaranteed contract. So we got ads coming up. For the real fans out there, if these have been too loud for you, go ahead and turn it down. We got ads coming up in 3, 2, 1.
Welcome back into a live YouTube edition of Season 2, Episode 1 of the Clips and Dip podcast in terms of a stream right now, and bringing it to you live on draft night. I'm Adam Oslin. We got Chuck Mockler, no Will Updike. Carl Tart was not able to make it, but we are here for you guys.
Olays.
As the status of that Clippers pick at number 30 is they still own it. We made asses of ourselves, some say yesterday. I think we brought up a lot of good points in a hypothetical what if situation.
Yeah. You know what's funny? When the Clippers draft for Malcom Brogdon, we can just release that episode. We did it a year ago.
Yeah,
we're way ahead of the curve.
Light years right here. It ain't the Golden State Warriors anymore after what they gave up for Poole.
But so we were talking about a little bit before the break. What is this? Whoever is picked at 30 for the Clippers is not going to see the floor for the LA Clippers next year. And I don't mean that as a slight to whoever's picked at 30. You're just being selected at number 30 for a team that's trying to win literally right now. So, like, unless that guy's the best point guard or a backup center, NBA caliber, I kind of like what Tomer was saying about maybe trading the pick, and I guess we were set to, so I don't know.
Yeah, I agree with you wholeheartedly. I think the best case scenario would be the Clippers do trade the pick to correspond with a larger, bigger move like we thought was going to happen yesterday, because you need impactful players on a team with championship aspirations. You need guys who can actually fill a role right now. I remember when Jason Preston was drafted. What if this guy turns into somebody that can help the Clippers?
I never thought that. We were not doing the show when Jason Preston was drafted.
Then who can know for sure?
We were not doing this show. I did not think, what can Jason Preston do? I'll tell you what, the AT&T commercial, hats off to his management team. I will live and die by that. Great work.
That voiceover is Morgan Freeman worthy. It is beautifully done, Jason
I don't know about that, but yeah.
I'm just saying the hype around draft picks on draft night reaches absurd levels at times where people get far too excited over every pick, no matter where it is. And the truth is, yes, that pick could turn out to be somebody. We just saw Nikola Jokic, a 2-time MVP, now a finals MVP, be drafted in the second round and lead his team to a championship. So anything is possible. And he was drafted during a Taco Bell commercial. But the likelihood of that stuff happening is so small, so slim, so low that you got to temper your expectations and be grounded in reality just a little bit, because even top 10 picks routinely, annually end up being busts. It's unfortunate, and it's fun to celebrate the guys and their dream coming to fruition tonight. But I don't think you should get too caught up in this guy can help right away. This guy can do something right now. Even Moussa Diabate, who I would say has a skill set that could lend itself to helping you sooner than later. And we saw it in that comeback in Portland last season. Still had trouble getting on the court. And it looked like after his first two appearances.
He's not going to beat out. Like, that's the thing. Like, Musa's not going to beat out Mason Plumlee to play meaningful NBA minutes. Just because he doesn't know how to play NBA basketball yet.
Yeah. And even when he looked more than just competent in one game or two games, afterwards, it looked like the wheels were turning in his head too much. He was overthinking things. He wasn't relaxed. He wasn't reading and reacting. Yeah, young players, they deal with
coaching staff, maybe. I don't know.
Paralysis by analysis with overthinking things and not being as reactive and instinctual as you would like them to be. That's just part of the process until the game slows down for them. As good as Musa is getting 20 and 14 in the G League all the time, and as much as the Clippers had a need in that position area last season, it didn't matter. So if he couldn't get on the court more so than he ended up doing, when the Clippers didn't have a traditional seasoned backup center before bringing in Mason Plumlee, how many guys could be drafted at the 30th pick that the Clippers would be able to get court time for this season in a championship or bust year?
And it's a guaranteed contract. Whoever we're picking at 30 is getting an NBA, like a full contract. So that is also what makes it cramped, which is what kind of Tomer was talking about.
That was a great point
when he was on the show. It was a really good point.
If you guys missed it, we had Tomer on. We had Law Murray on recently.
Man, Law Murray was fantastic. Law that was a really fun episode.
Some say we got the Bill Walton treatment. We asked him one question and he just went the rest of the way. The next hour and 20 minutes.
Easy. I can just hang out. All right, so let's talk maybe some guys that the Clippers could draft. I have we're part of the 213 Hoops Empire here at Clips and Dip. Hold on. Can I take 1 sec to talk about something else? Just a real quick thing, quick pivot. Still basketball related.
Like I haven't gone on enough tangents already?
I hate draft pick spoiling on Twitter. And I understand the argument, why are you just not on Twitter? If you do sports media stuff, you quite literally have to be on Twitter when the draft is happening. You just have to. In some way or another. I hate getting just let them announce the pick. Who cares?
Are you saying
it's got to be incentives for like their quotas? It's got to be, it has to.
Well, they put a muscle on Woj or put, him in cuffs on the Evil 4 letter, and they tried to stop him from doing it.
And now he works for a gambling company and is spoiling draft.
Well, Shams does not care.
Yeah, he doesn't. Yeah,
but he's just clout chasing. He's just clout chasing. It's typical.
But it's just it's just not as. I'm becoming a very old man in real time now. For those of you watching, but I just feel like it's not as fun.
Well, especially when you're streaming something, it's already delayed 30 seconds or a minute from live television. Right. The live television isn't actually live either. There's like a 7-second or a 12-second or a 25-second delay, depending on the network. And then you're getting the tweet
or how you're watching
like
it.
3 minutes or 5 minutes before it actually happens. So it just renders their analysis useless during a draft party or draft analysts like who is on Jay Billis right now. They're talking about a guy and how he fits in. The French guy that came in at number 7, who's not ending up going to Indiana because the Washington Wizards ended up trading pick number 8 with them and a couple of those second round picks from Michael Winger. So yeah, it kind of just makes things a lot more murky, but I don't know. It's Twitter. Like, it's up to you to stay off of Twitter then. They don't care. They don't care, Chuck.
I know. No, I get, yes. Victim blame. That sounds good. Yeah, let's do that.
All
right. One more tangent, which is something we actually haven't talked about on the show yet, which I like. Deuce Times on the YouTube stream said, have y'all heard anything about the Kawhi injury? Did he have surgery? Not a question. Just yelling it with 2 exclamation points. Is he playing anywhere? No, not sure. Probably not.
Is he playing anywhere? We know he wouldn't be
Yeah, I don't
playing
know about
5-on-5
Yeah,
because
we know. Yeah, we know he's not playing 5-on-5 in the offseason.
that's his
Nothing about
process.
the
It
Kawhi
works.
injury. The last thing we heard was that they were trying to just avoid surgery. We're not going to hear anything until we see the official tweet about it, and that's right. Like
Maybe he had surgery, and we'll find out about it a month after it happens. Who knows?
yeah, I think he would have got it. It'll be a thing where they announce like if he had it, which I don't know if he had. I don't think he did. It'll be like, oh, he got it on this date X amount of weeks ago.
Yeah.
And he should be ready for the opener.
Which is something
And then
Lawrence
we're in a whole
Frank,
new level of hell. So
L. Frank did stress in his season-ending exit interview that regardless of if he has surgery or not, he'll be ready to go by the start of next season, which seems to be the diagnosis of that meniscus injury. The question is whether or not you end up having the surgery. Some guys don't, and it works fine. Some guys do, and it works fine as well. And we're hoping for the best. I do have concerns. Like, how many times can that right leg be injured in a different area, starting with the quadricep, then the ACL, and now a meniscus tear, and that he just keeps coming back looking like the same player? How many times can you expect that to happen? It's of course concerning, another knee injury. Players who are often injured early on in their career and in their prime don't magically start staying healthier later in their career. It's not how it works.
What do you mean? Don't talk to me about that. That doesn't
Chris
make
Paul's
any
more
sense.
injury prone than pretty much ever. I know he had a couple of good years when he switched to the vegan diet, but guys, for the most part, outside of maybe Grant Hill, when he finally did recover from the ankle injury, but he wasn't nearly the same player and could play consistently for the Phoenix Suns then, not Orlando.
Yeah.
Like, it's just not how it works. Look at Blake Griffin and how that went. He kind of fell off a cliff pretty quickly.
Yeah, I mean, kind of depressing to think about, but you're totally right.
On the other end, Kawhi's had major injuries on the right leg, and every time he comes back looking as strong and as good as ever.
He handles it well. His recovery, when he's back on, you cannot deny that he looks every much as bit of the player that he very much is. All right, we got to talk at least at some point about some Clippers prospects. This is from the big 2023 NBA draft by the numbers, Big Man by Robert Flom. Very sad Clippers fan, Robert Flom. If you follow him on Twitter, and he would agree, because it's difficult to be a fan of this team sometimes. But for Rob, that sometimes is every day.
He was sad when they were in the Western Conference Finals. Like, he was sad when they were able to draft Blake. I mean,
you got to respect it. But he knows a lot. So Adam and I do not watch college basketball. I do have much better things to do than watch college basketball, which might be a surprise to some people. And I just don't have the time for it.
I watch UCLA here and there when I fill in for Tim Cates on Bruins Talk. So I keep up with them a little bit, but it's not much.
It's not much. So we're going off this. Trace Jackson Davis. He played at Indiana. 6'9", averaged almost 3 blocks. It was 2.6 blocks. He can't shoot. So big guy who can't shoot already feels like that checks a pretty big box for Clippers draft picks.
Okay.
Am I wrong?
No. You're wrong.
Am I?
The line is, you're not wrong. You're just an a-hole, Walter, from the Big Lebowski.
He's very good at defense. He's obviously a crazy athlete. I think we can say that for every draftee now has incredible athleticism. He averaged 4 assists a game his senior year. Big guy, kind of has this nice little skill set that is rare in his size. He's another thing that maybe checks the box for the Clippers. He's 23, so he's not young.
Terrence Mann.
Big guy who can't shoot. Maybe a little older. He feels like a Clipper.
Hey, Fee could shoot. It just didn't translate to the next level.
The Fee thing. Okay. Well, at any time they brought, dude, Fee's career makes me so bummed out because he was like a meme as soon as he came up to the actual Clippers team. They're like, we put Fee in and told him to shoot whenever he touches the ball. And it's like, how is that good for his development? Not good.
Tried to enable him and give him confidence. What do you mean? He was going to be the next Serge Ibaka, I thought.
Yeah, exactly.
I did see Deuce Times reply to our conversation there about Kawhi Leonard saying, in my opinion, I think that's why Kawhi is always hurt. He don't play 5-on-5 enough. You can't shock your body like that. Kobe played in the offseason. Jordan played. LeBron played. Kawhi needs to play.
All right.
First of all,
I'm not comparing him to those other guys.
Jordan didn't play. He golfed. He gambled. His trainer is on record saying like he would take months off without picking up a basketball, like Anthony Davis. It was a different time. There have been copious amounts of research as why guys are injured more than ever nowadays. It's because they play specialized sports. They only play those sports, and they play at a very high level at a young age and put more stress on their body at a younger age. That is what it is. There's tons of research on it. If you want to look it up, it's not that they're not as tough as the former era. It's those guys were firemen and had off-season jobs. And these guys today are just playing basketball too much year-round, and it's worn them down.
That's fair. I mean, I will say the 5-on-5 would be kind of cool to see some off-season 5-on-5 footage.
We're not going to see Kawhi at the Drew, okay?
Kawhi go to Venice challenge.
He might pump iron.
That would be so funny. That is where we'll see Kawhi. We'll see Kawhi on Muscle Beach doing like the vertical like pull-ups where guys are doing handstands on the thing and like doing those guys.
I would like to see Scoot become a Clipper just so he and Kawhi can flex on each other. Those would be two of the strongest players in the league.
How do you feel about going for a big guy for the Clippers in this draft? Like, what's a position, say just position group, are you trying to draft in here? Chris H. Carltard is not joining us. He had to go to a dinner with people he was traveling with, and that dinner was at Taco John's.
I think it was just Taco Bell, and he just went through the drive-thru and used that as an excuse.
For those, now I can talk about it because it's been a while. For those of you who have never been to Taco John's, it's a West Mex place that started in Wyoming, of all places. They have these things called potato olays. They're these seasoned kind of tater tot things. You can get a 6-pack and a pound, which is 6 tacos and a pound of potato olays for very cheap. Staple of the Western United States. Anyway, that's where Carl's at.
I'm more of a Jim Boys taco guy. Jim versus John. I don't know if that's like Mark Zucker versus Elon Musk or anything, but they could be in Taco Wars.
No idea. I'm a Taco John's guy. That's what I was raised on. Anyway, position groups that you would look at if you're the Clippers. If you're like, let's rank it like guards, forwards.
I would center where you go. I would say the same thing that I said yesterday regarding the Charlotte Hornets. In a different way, the Clippers should just take best player available over position and fit. Because they're not going to be playing 4 years at this level with this group, with this team. So take the guy that maybe is the next Brandon Boston, that was somebody that had a precipitous fall in the draft and that has a really high ceiling. I would go with a guy like that over whatever position. If you're going to go position, you want to say 4, but by the time they're up to speed to play the 4 position, are they going to be in need of that guy in the starting lineup? Is that realistic at all? I don't think so.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it's just BPA. Someone asked if we can go through the positional needs for Ontario. No, we're not going to do that. I don't know how else to say it. I'm not running through the G League roster that I don't know very much about.
We don't know the draft roster. We're not going to know the G League roster much either.
Right. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. And this is where the trade yesterday falling through really screws the Clippers. Obviously, having Marcus on the team, he's going to be moved. That's like no big deal, whatever. Are they going to be able to trade this pick in the next, let's call it 35 minutes to not have to select somebody? They obviously prepared for the draft. I'm not making it seem like that, but you know what I mean? This is another pretty rough outcome of the Brogdon injury scenario.
The other side of it could be you take best player available because you're more likely to trade that pick anyways, even if you do draft the guy. It could be someone that you reroute to another team. later in tonight or in the next week.
Not very much later. We're the 30th pick.
Everyone knows that the Clippers are in win now mode. Every team knows that. They all saw yesterday they were trying to trade that pick. They know it can be had for the right price, for the right player, for the right 3-team deal that doesn't fall through. It can be. It can be done. So if we're still talking about Malcom Brogdon and needs for this Clippers team, aside from the draft, I mean, it looks like maybe regardless of if Russ is coming back, they want to add another guard. Now, Brogdon was more of a combo guy that you could slot.
A little bigger point. Yeah, for defensive purposes, he's good at the point. More for this Clippers team, for sure.
Interchangeable, could play more positions, would have a better chance getting on the floor with Coach Lou and the Olive Garden crew.
Yeah.
Like that would have been a really nice fit, but it sounds like through the physical, if they can't get all that information, yeah, you got to err on the side
which is the right call.
Sure.
Yeah.
And, there's still a possibility. I guess Boston now is electing to keep him because they lost Marcus Smart.
Well, they have to.
But they could still bring in someone else too. Like,
yeah, that's true.
It's not like they couldn't, I guess, get back to that or rekindle those conversations with the Boston Celtics and maybe another team at some point if they could just get all his medical information.
Yeah, I think the issue is they don't want anyone to have it. I think Brogdon's staying put, and they're just going to try and play him.
6th man of the year. It's not a bad option.
I mean, yeah, he's not a bad option. He's just crazy hurt. More picks getting spoiled. Hell yeah. Let's go. Good pick, Utah.
David Hellman says the 30th pick is a brutal trade asset.
It is. And the way the Clippers got here is a little frustrating when you think about it, because it was part of the Eric Gordon trade. And then bringing in Russ kind of made Eric Gordon redundant a little bit. That was the other thing about the Brogdon trade, is that the Brogdon trade kind of signaled to me that they were going to maybe move Gordon. Because he makes Gordon a little redundant.
That's a fair point. It could just be, well, we still have Eric Gordon on the team. We struck out with Malcom Brogdon. We still have Eric Gordon here. Maybe he is part of their future. But I still wouldn't be surprised if he was included in a trade scenario. I thought when they first brought him in, part of the reason was he is salary cap filler, aside from what he does on the court, and he still is very serviceable. But in a trade, he could be a little bit of an interesting piece for a team that knows he's only guaranteed this much coming into this season. That might entice a team to want to trade for Eric Gordon because they can get out of that contract pretty easily. And we still don't know the CBA rules, so that makes things all much more trickier.
Yeah. When is that thing coming out?
When Detox does from Dr. Dre.
What? Well, Detox did come out, but
did it?
I'm 99%.
It was like a song. Compton came out, which is a great album. I don't know why many people don't talk about it. He had a couple of tracks, but I don't even.
Yeah, that's true. It was just a couple tracks.
Look, I go deep with Death Row. You don't even know, Chuck. I'm
about
to grab my medallion right now.
Please do not. There needs to be no medallions. Drunken Public Service asks, I think that's Trent. Obviously, keeping 2-1-3 intact, how does the front office get the team younger and more athletic? Trades. Do what they tried to do yesterday. Not that Malcom Brogdon is a spring chicken, but just you got to make moves trade-wise. You got to trade the old fours for one young four. I know it's not that easy, but that's how I
You brought up a great trade scenario that I do think is very realistic on the Bleacher Report, right? Recently.
Which one? Yeah.
This was involving the Knicks.
Oh, yeah. Obi and Hartenstein for the 30th pick, Morris or Rocco, and then maybe a young guy. Now, I think that makes sense.
I think Obi Toppin would be a great pickup and give an athletic punch to this Clippers team, immediately a jolt in that area and just change the dynamic of their offense a little bit to have a rim runner. They haven't had an elite rim runner like that, just throw it up, go get it type guy since Blake Griffin, right?
And he'd be on a prove it deal, he's not making a bunch of money now. You can sign him to a prove-it deal, which is kind of nice. And he's young. And we get Hartenstein back. What a good time.
Who, in his own right, was a pretty good rim runner for the Clippers and would throw down, and they'd look for him often. But Obi Toppin was in the dunk contest. I think another guy. And
you want to trade for guys who are in the skills games at the All-Star games? You're like, hey,
if you can't jump over a Kia, I'm not interested. All right, I need to see that. I think somebody like, and it might be hard to get him because they're in a rebuild and he could be a part of their future, but it sounds like he was a little bit disgruntled last year with playing time. However, they have a new head coach coming in with the Houston Rockets, Kenyon Martin Jr. He's still on his rookie deal, and it's a little over $2 million. But somebody like that, if you can't get John Collins, and Atlanta is,
a forever rumored to be a Clipper.
Lukewarm on him, however they feel about him. Maybe they're just waiting to blow the whole thing up eventually. DeJounte Murray gone, Trae Young gone, just restart. But if you can't get somebody like that, what about just a younger guy who hasn't exactly fulfilled his promise yet? I don't think Obi Toppin has maxed out his ability. I don't think Kenyon Martin Jr. has either.
Yeah, no, they don't really know what contract to give Obi because he's been used sporadically. And so, I don't know, that'd be a fun time.
A lot of people suspect in New York, and you talk to those guys over there. We both jumped on a podcast when the Clippers were taking on the Knicks.
Oh, yeah. Shout out Andrew Claudio. That was really fun. Great Knicks podcast.
They believe part of the reason he hasn't played as much, it's almost like a conspiracy with Obi Toppin to keep his value down. So when they lose Julius Randle, they can match whatever offer when he'll be a restricted free agent, which shouldn't be as high because nobody's seen him do much yet. And that's
got to feel good to hear if you're him.
That's just such a glaring issue.
Like, oh, they don't want to play me because I'm so good. That feels great.
I'm the secret weapon, guys.
Yeah, this is great. Yeah, I don't know.
How about expiring money? And this has been something people have talked about for a while. Drunk in public.
Rozier would be fun. I'm fine with Rozier. I don't know what we really trade to get him now that in this moment at 6:49 p.m., I would assume you toss in the 30th pick somehow or draft for the team. But
Charlotte would be doing it to get rid of a bloated contract if they did this. Doesn't he have 2 more years at least at around $20 million?
Let me check.
So maybe Marcus is involved in that. You sweeten it with some second-round picks or maybe the 30th pick.
He's got 23 this upcoming season, basically 24.9 the season after that, and then a partially guaranteed 26.5. It's only fully guaranteed. 24 million of it's guaranteed. If Charlotte plays in the second round of the playoffs and Rozier plays 70 games in any of the next, so feels pretty gettable. But
is he 28 now, Terry Rozier? It feels like he's been in the league a lot longer than that.
29.
Because
in 104 days.
He had that big playoff run with Boston a few years ago when they were calling him Scary Terry Rozier.
That was a great time. I loved that. Yeah.
He reminds me a little bit of like a rich man's Reggie Jackson. Athletic ability wise, his handle.
A rich man's Reggie Jackson. That's so funny.
He can get to the basket. He can get hot. He can take over a ball game. Like we saw Reggie be so good when Kawhi Leonard was out during the 2021 playoff run. That's what Terry Rozier kind of looked for the Boston Celtics when they made that run. He's somebody that steps up and embraces the moment and apparently likes to play the villain or play spoiler because that Boston team wasn't expected to do a lot. Yeah. And he was a big part of their success in that postseason. I like Terry Rozier. If you're talking about we're doubling down, we're bringing 2-1-3 back, we have to find a way to get incrementally better this offseason. The future be damned. That's not a bad option, I think.
Not bad. It's not bad. All right, draft guy I want to talk about real quick.
And that's no slight toward Reggie Jackson, but I do think Terry Rozier is a little bit more of a talented player. And the Clippers got Reggie towards the very end of his prime. You know, he already had the back issue coming from Detroit. Mm-hmm. I don't think Terry Rozier has had any debilitating injuries, and he's just about to turn 29.
Let me look, because I thought he had
He's one of those guys that can have that almost irrational confidence where you believe you're the best guy on the court, even though everybody knows you're
He
not.
definitely has that. Yeah.
Which isn't a bad thing in the right situation. You still want him to be a team player, play within the offense, not get outside of himself too much. But guys who don't shy away from the moment and embrace the spotlight when you're trying to win a championship, never a bad thing to add one more of them.
So he's got a bunch of ankle sprains.
I mean, it's basketball.
Hey, I don't like it. I don't like
it's
it.
not a Bill Walton foot injury. What are we talking about?
I don't like ankle sprains. Those things pile up.
Oh, you got the medical on that? Why don't you get Brogdon's while we're at it?
I'll do my best. So prospect I want to talk about, guard prospect, University of California, Los Angeles guard, Amari Bailey. 6'5". Again, he's 19 years old. Really good high school player. He was top 10. Kind of some crazy upside. But I don't know. What do you think? Why not?
I actually watched a little bit of Amari Bailey. I like him.
I figured you did.
A lot. He had, I want to say he played big when they lost both games in Vegas to, I think it was Maryland. Oh, no, they got the victory against them. It was, he had some big games against big opponents. He had a 24-point game against Oregon State. He had 16 against Cal. He kind of faded towards the end of the regular season, but then he had some big games in the Pac-12 tournament.
He scored 19 versus Gonzaga.
Yeah, he had 19 in their final game, lost to Gonzaga, but he had 26 in the Pac-12 tournament against Colorado. He had 19 against Arizona. He has a ton of untapped potential, and I love Mick Cronin. I love the foundation he gives players. I would be interested in somebody like him for
39% three-point shooter. Guy can shoot.
Yeah, and he has wiggle. Like, he can get to the basket. He's crafty with his ability to get downhill. He's shifty.
Ooh, I don't like his free throw percentage. 70% from the line does not.
He was just overconfident. You know, he's like, oh, this is too easy, guys.
Sure, too easy. But yeah, I mean, at a low pick, it's like, why not? Have him learn from Xavier Moon, even though he's much bigger than Xavier Moon.
The other guy from UC,
LA guy, yeah.
The other guy that I don't know where he's going to end up going because he had the season-ending injury.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of Jalen Clark.
Oh.
I believe I am. Who went out with, I believe he did his Achilles against Arizona. It was. I'm trying to look up the injury here in real time. But this is somebody who defended, who would also get in transition, was death in transition, but he had the Achilles tear. One of their better players. I don't know if you have a second-round pick or you get in and buy another one that you don't take a flyer on somebody like Jalen Clark.
I don't want us to buy a second-round pick.
Why not? It's free for us, just not for Ballmer.
Get out of here. I know, but like, let's just that'd be good. Yeah, and like the Clippers love how can I put this? The Clippers love a marketable player at lower ranges.
Get a local product.
The Jay Scrub pick would be such a great story. I think that was partly what played into it. They picked up the Armenian sniper for the Agua Caliente Clippers, which is obviously a big kind of a PR play. So like taking a UCLA guy would be great.
Yeah. I mean, that's why they brought in Moses Brown, right? What?
I'll tell you what,
if Moses play bad.
Brown, I know he didn't play bad. That doesn't mean he should have been the backup center for the team. Jason Preston story. Thank you, Anthony C. in the chat. Someone's on my side.
I'm not against you. I just want to bring up Moses Brown and get that reaction.
I mean, that's fair.
Remember my legendary tweet with him next to Kareem Abdul-Jabbar?
People said he wasn't tall. You proved them all wrong.
Crazy.
Man, all right, we had a bunch more picks until the Clippers go. They seem to be holding on to their pick, which I'm saddened by, I would say. I'm a little bummed out we still have it.
I don't think shove it. They could trade it afterwards. Like, we've seen this stuff go down. When they got Kennard, it was this weird Charlie Day-like FBI board where you're just trying to piece things together when they ended up trading Landry Shamet. It didn't go down, I don't think, right away as a trade, but then it came back around and they said, oh, they're going to make this move now. So you never know what could happen in the next couple of hours, regardless of if they pick at 30 or trade before that.
Yeah, that's a good call. Someone says, if this offseason is a flop, do we start the Michael Winger was the real brains behind the front office conversation? I don't know if we start that conversation. I'm not going to start that conversation.
I'm not going to start that conversation.
Adam, are you going to start that conversation?
I'm not going to start that conversation. We're not doing that just because he was the protege of Sam Presti in OKC with the Thunder. So he has great pedigree coming from Sam Presti and then Lawrence Frank. And the Washington Wizards are lucky to have him, but no, L. Frank is the man. He won Executive of the Year. I get offended when people give, maybe it's because I did the same thing and he lambasted me a little bit for it, but when people give Jerry West too much credit, and I did the same thing at his introductory press conference, contrary to what you'll see on Winning Time, Jerry West is a very humble man and doesn't like too much
not the same
attention
as,
his
as
way.
That show. Yeah.
At his introductory press conference, I thought I had this brilliant question. I thought I was just going to be the star of the show. It was on NBA TV. I was like, oh, give me the mic.
I don't like where this is going.
And I asked him, mind you, he's coming over from Golden State. I said something to the effect of, is it almost like playing chess with yourself since you helped make the Golden State Warriors and now you're trying to find a way to beat them being with the Clippers here? And he just kind of
playing chess with yourself
said, you're giving me far too much credit. Please don't do that. And he wanted to give the credit to Bob Myers and the Golden State Warriors, even though he was allegedly the guy that put his foot down, like he did when it came to drafting James Worthy with the Lakers, to not trade Klay Thompson for Kevin Love, when at the time Kevin Love was getting 20 and 12 with the Minnesota Timberwolves and looked like he'd add a different element to their offense. And he said, no, we have something special with the Splash Brothers here. We're not going away from that. So, give credit where credit is due. I think Lawrence Frank has been the right guy for the job, and he has proven it. It's just bad luck with injuries going on with the Clippers over and over again. Speaking of, Jerry West talked about that in all his time in the game. He said this on the podcast P episode 2 weeks ago. In all his time, he has never seen a team more snake bit or cursed or whatever the jinx is than he has with the Clippers. It's been brutal. So he's seen a lot of basketball.
Adam wildly defending Jerry West. We have a special guest drop in that we're going to get to after this quick commercial break. If you're watching on YouTube, it's not a real commercial break. I'm going to introduce this guest and then go make a drink real quick. But if the ads have been too loud for you, go ahead and turn them down. Totally fine. But we have a special drop-in guest coming in after this break in 3, 2, 1. What is going on, Clippers fans? Welcome back. And we are joined. Adam Oslin is here. I am Chuck Buckler. We are joined by Joseph Ryan Ward, retiree.
Yeah, dude.
I believe
I'm on the links.
He's on the links right now. Time in between canasta and running for the retirement community.
A lot of mahjong being
bored
in my household.
Did you hit it big with your startup company? Why are you retiring? I don't get it.
That is a fair question, actually.
Well, I'm going to get to that. But the reason
you wanted to come on here and rant.
Yeah. The reason I'm here is because I heard through the grapevine that Chuck is trying to take my spot on Clipset. And so now I have to take his spot here on Clips and Dip. I think that's a fair trade.
Yeah. I'm out of here.
Mix that drink.
3's over. Yeah. Actually, I'm going to do that. Are you going to do your rant or will you wait a sec?
I'm going to wait a second. Adam can fill me in on
Joseph
what you
and
guys
I are
have been
boys.
discussing.
Y'all don't know. We DM all the time now.
Talk about those. I'll be back in a sec.
We've been having our own podcast in 240 character mode for some time now. Joseph, it's good to have you here on Clips and Dip. I was wondering when this was going to happen. I think we had you early on. In way back in season 1. This is episode 1 of season 2.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Well, you were one of our first guests on the podcast, but how you doing?
I'm doing okay. You'll hear exactly how I'm doing in terms of the Clippers in a minute. But
Okay, I can
what have you
imagine.
guys been up to? What have you guys been talking about?
Just talking about college players we don't know that much about because I think
Yeah.
the draft is a complete crapshoot, and I've been saying
Mhm.
this for years. And maybe it makes me lazy or affords me the right to not pay attention to college basketball as much because
Yeah.
it is such a minefield, and
Yeah.
people tend to think every draft night that the top 30 players, all of them are going to be all-stars. And it's not
Mhm.
true at all. The top 10 are not all going to be all-stars.
Yeah.
70% of them are not going to be all-stars, yet people get their hopes up. And I understand. Hope springs
Yeah.
eternal. It's a good thing.
Yeah, I saw a clip earlier today on Twitter, reminding me that someone described Mo Bamba as a hybrid of Anthony Davis and Joel Embiid.
Is that not what he's become?
I don't think
It's
that's
crazy
what
the
he's been.
Lakers are shopping him. They had 2
I know,
Anthony
right?
Davises.
I know, so crazy, right? But yeah, no, my one of my least favorite episodes to do on Clipset all the time was the draft because I was so woefully unprepared. Brian and I, one time we watched the draft together, and I think at some point we looked at each other and we're like, I don't think we know who any of these people are. Like, there's no reason for us to be doing this episode right now.
New
Because we have
draft. Who
zero
this?
expertise. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, man, I mean, the draft is always a crazy night because the NBA offseason is almost more exciting than the actual regular season. So,
For
almost?
casuals.
yeah. That's right. For casuals like me.
Things are going well.
Kendrick Perkins.
We have someone saying that he's expecting Brogdon to have an insane season. I also expect that. I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's going to be rough.
Yeah.
He's going to play
He's going to play all
76.
82 and
He's playing
50, 40, 90.
Oh, the Heat just took a UCLA favorite. They took your guy, Joseph.
Dude, they took Jaime at 18.
Yep.
So apparently my primo was killing it in the offseason workouts. And
Sure.
all
He
the
was guarding
buzz,
PG at Rico Hines.
all the buzz has been about Jaime going to the Heat. So happy that he's there, but also at the same time distraught that he will not be a Clipper. I wanted him so bad at 30.
I mean,
You got to return the jersey now.
That's right. I pre-ordered it.
Maybe they trade for him after Heat culture, and then he becomes a superstar with the Clippers. You never know.
He's too laid back. He's from California. He's
from Camarillo, right? Yeah.
All right. So you wanted to rant. This is your time. Take as long as you want, as long as it's not over like 20 minutes.
I just want to say it's going to be 25. So I just want to say that the Clippers have really, truly disappointed me. And maybe this is just a matter of, PG's value is not high enough. I just want to say that obviously Paul George won my heart in 2021. I was like the captain of the Paul George army all 2022.
You were a soldier.
I was a soldier. Okay, no, but like I wasn't just I was high ranking in the Paul George army, okay, for a while.
Yeah. He won your heart, but Reggie Jackson holds your heart.
Yeah, exactly. Still, if the Clippers don't do something drastic with this team, and I mean like drastic with this team, they are complacent cowards that do not deserve any of our respect. Okay, Adam, you can sit this one out. I know you're a team employee.
Is this live?
Does not care. We're absolutely live.
I cannot believe that we are at this place where they are going to run it back. I know they tried to do the Brogdon deal. People thought it was an overpay. Those people are out of their minds. Okay. I don't understand how they can look at what happened last year and decide, okay, everything is fine. Let's just do this again. Look,
they are trying to get rid of Marcus Morris.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Let's attach a pick to Marcus Morris.
Who said everything was fine? Lawrence Frank came out and said you got to respect the regular season.
Yeah. Guess what? If they bring the same team back, that's not going to happen. How do you have a season as disappointing as what happened last year and decide, let's just run it back?
Are they running it back because you assume they're keeping Kawhi and Paul George. That alone
Like, are we
means
bringing everyone back?
because they made
Marcus
a trade
Morris
at the deadline and had a few new players, so it's not exactly running it back.
Okay, all right, okay, Law. I hear what you're saying, but I just want to say,
great minds think alike, Joseph. I don't know where you're at.
Look, here's the deal. I understand that train of thought. They changed the team at the deadline, whatever, blah, 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 blah. The core is the same. Okay. Ty is still the coach. Paul George and Kawhi are still the stars. Okay. And the supporting cast is basically the same. Right. That's very good. I like that. Adam Loughlin. That's really good.
Will, you're here.
It doesn't make any sense to me for them not to be aggressively shopping things. Like for this
what
to
do you
be
mean by things?
How do you
Let's
know
talk
they're
what the
not?
things mean.
Paul George should be on the market.
How do you know he's not? Like, unless the trade goes through.
The reporting seems to be that either A, his value is low, which is whatever. I don't care. But like, to me, it's like if the discussions were just
that would go against your argument.
But if the discussions were just Portland and the Knicks, you're not aggressively shopping Paul George. Like, I'd be on the phone with the Hawks. I'd be on the phone with literally every team in the league trying to find a way to reshuffle the deck around Kawhi. Look, I get it. There were rumbling.
But not a hard reset. So, like, you're not talking like a full teardown.
No, my favorite trade is obviously trading Paul George to Portland for Scoot and whatever. They have Scoot now. If they're willing to part with Scoot, I will literally push Lawrence Frank out of the way on the phone call, and I will say yes emphatically.
This is shameful.
Give me the phone.
Give me the phone.
Trent Redden currently has you in a headlock, though. You may have gotten Lawrence out of the way, but Mark Hughes is coming to kick you in the ass.
Yeah.
I'm fighting, bro. I'm a black belt. I was an instructor. Okay.
Jerry West threw Shaq up against the wall. You want that dad strength? You want that?
Look, old man Jerry West needs to get out of the way. Okay. I'm in charge.
All right, I'm done.
Mark Hughes. Mark Hughes is 6'6".
That's a big man. That's a big man, but I got to get inside.
You guys have sat next to him. Why are you acting like you didn't know?
Yeah, I'm getting in.
You're not going to win by decision.
Show some respect, damn it.
Oh, that's good. Joseph, I don't think you're winning by decision, but continue.
All I'm saying is the Clippers need to be doing whatever they can to maximize this window around Kawhi. Regardless of the reports about the culture and Kawhi as a star or whatever, we saw in a game and a half or 2 games that Kawhi can just lift a team that's not very good over a team that's better than they are. Like, we saw that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And all they need to do is whatever they can to get rid of this old rickety team that is placating a star that gave up on the season because Drew Holiday picked him up full court.
Drew's an all-star.
God forbid next season they run it back and OG Anunoby picks him up in the half court and he asks to come off the bench. Like, they have to do something drastic.
I'm just curious. Did that happen in the 2021 playoffs where Paul George was getting picked up full court and just said no moss? Did that happen then?
But that's exactly what I'm talking about, right? Like,
so maybe it's a regular season thing.
No, listen to me, bro. It's a mindset thing. This has been what has been trailing Paul George for his entire career. I love PG. I think he's one of the most talented players in the league. But the biggest issue has been, and to me, the biggest failure is that we didn't win in 2021. So Paul George finally figured out that that's how you have to play to win. The fact that they didn't win, that he wasn't able to get over the hump by himself doing that, convinced him that he needs someone like Russell Westbrook to take him over the top. Like, the fact that this team is going to run back a squad that needed Russell Westbrook, he who totally tanked the offense when he was on the floor with Kawhi and Paul George, they needed him to, quote unquote, save the season. That is the most pathetic thing I've ever heard. Ever. And the fact that it's like organizationally wide,
for those of you not
that they are going to decide that Russ is the answer is totally insane.
But now we get to bring Russ back.
We don't need veteran players, by the way, Willie Bowen. We don't need veteran players.
We have all vets, don't we?
We have too many vets. It is the AARP. The AARP of the Los Angeles Clippers.
I agree that we still don't know exactly how Russ would look next to a healthy Kawhi and Paul George.
We do.
I don't
want any of that, Adam. We do.
It was 10 games.
We 4-on-5. No, get out of here, bro. It's 4-on-5. He can't fucking shoot. Nobody respects him on the outside. He's operating in a phone booth. Both stars operated in a phone booth for the entirety of the 2-1-3 era. The offense has been incredible when those two stars are on the floor. When Russ was on the floor with them, it was the worst offense in the league.
What was it, like 100 minutes?
I don't care, bro. It's
sample size matters until it doesn't.
It could be 20.
Sample size matters until it doesn't. Okay.
It's unbelievable.
I thought he played pretty darn well against Phoenix.
Yeah, and guess what? 100. What was their offensive rating? 105.
Let me look it up. And we also lost in 5.
Yeah.
They should have. You're right. They should have beat him without Kawhi Leonard. That's Russ's fault. That is a great point. That's not what I said. That's not what I said. You just agreed with they still lost. Okay.
They did still lose.
Does it not matter context-wise how they lost?
Damn, Cam Whitmore is about to be gone.
Oh, wow. Oh, man.
Cam Reddish?
Cam Whitmore. Cam Reddish.
Who is Brandon Podziemski?
No idea, but Robert Flom was upset that he got drafted.
Oh, of course. So he went to Michigan?
Yeah, I was like, so he's a Polish guy who went to Michigan.
That's his kryptonite. He's always positive about Michigan.
Yeah.
That's actually a very good call. But he
Robert could be down about everything but Michigan.
So, Joseph, what is the rant all for? What are you trying to say? What needs to be?
Give us some realistic trades for PG.
What comes of this rant?
Here's what I want.
Who are we picking at 30 during what commercial is going to be the next commercial to be an MVP drafted on? I'm going to call it
Chris Paul State Farm commercial for some reason.
Oh, I'm calling it John Hamm Mercedes commercial. It's going to be that. And I think we got this. So who's getting drafted?
Hey, you're the mind reader with this front office and how much they're shopping, guys.
Who are they going to draft? I don't know. My pick at 30 is gone. Okay, went 12 spots too soon. Jaime Jaquez is who I want.
You were way off.
Yeah, I was way off. He was mocked to the Clippers, and they did bring him in. What do I want?
Honestly, you did 10 mock drafts on every single one.
I did 14 actually.
Makes no sense.
Here's the deal. If I were the Clippers GM, and I got a lot of pushback in our group chat about this. If I were the Clippers GM, our group chat. Everybody but Adam's in it. I'm sorry, Adam. We'll get you in there eventually.
I don't want to be in it. All right.
It's a waiting list. It's really negative. I'm sorry.
It's very negative. I try and bring the positivity.
It's like a new fucking iPhone line.
Hammering the phone of Landry Fields, the Hawks GM. Ooh, and I would be trying to tantalize them with trading in their depth.
Are you doing a GM trade? Oh, okay.
Yeah. Their depth for Paul George.
So what's their?
They've already been on record saying that they want to. Well, look,
he's probably got
John Collins potentially. Okay, the larger trade that I thought of included CP, but we obviously can't do that anymore. But it's Paul George for DeJounte Murray. It's DeJounte Murray, John Collins, and DeAndre Hunter. Okay. And then you call Portland and you offer John Collins and whoever you draft 30th for them for Anthony Simons. You get younger, you get more athletic, and you still surround Kawhi with a competitive team.
Do you have it open in your trade machine right now? I think we could share it if people want.
No, I have it. I have it.
I got it bookmarked. I got
it. It's there. It's downloaded. It's there. But that's what I would do.
Damn. The trade machine has been warmed up. So I think I would keep Collins over Simons, who I do like.
Anthony Simons is a dead-eye shooter with athleticism.
He is. And a dead defender.
But that's why you bring in someone like DeAndre Hunter and DeJounte Murray. You start them all together, and Kawhi has a bunch of young guys to run around and do shit for him. You keep Terrence.
I don't hate it. I just don't think it's that realistic.
They're all the executive assistant. They're all executive assistants. Kawhi has 4 executive assistants. He makes all the decisions.
Just get Kawhi to the finish line. That's all you got to do. Get him to the finish line.
Get him to the board meeting.
Be healthy.
Get him to the big meeting. He'll
don't fuck
knock it out from there.
Yeah.
I agree. There's definitely something to that.
I just think
get Kawhi healthy in a playoff series, and you got a chance.
And you got a lot of youth. You got a lot of athleticism. You can kind of go from there.
The term, Joseph, you and I say all the time, innings eaters.
Yes.
We
that's
need
all you
good.
Need.
I don't usually like cross sports metaphors, but innings eaters is exactly what the Clippers need. You know who's an innings eater that we haven't talked about who's been available for trade? Colin Sexton.
I'm in. Okay. It would need to be a little bit bigger,
I'm
though.
all in on Colin Sexton.
The problem is I don't know. As much as I love Colin Sexton because he's crazy, and I think the Clippers need more guys who are crazy.
Absolutely. They thrive with Pat Bev.
Yeah, exactly.
Crazy person in a good way.
But you didn't want Kyrie
in a bad way. Okay.
Well, that's different. That's different. I'm talking about on the court. I'm talking about crazy guys. On the court.
We're talking within the rectangle. We're talking
exactly.
Inbounds crazy. Not out of bounds.
Not out of bounds crazy.
Yeah.
I don't know if I am willing to sink the future asset cost that it would take to get Colin Sexton, because I have a feeling that Danny Ainge would ask for 28 and 30. And I just don't know if I'm doing both those picks for Colin Sexton in the future. I just 2028 and 2030.
I was like 28, 30.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's big. No, that's a fair concern. I wouldn't trade 2 first-round picks.
Especially because Go ahead. No, go ahead.
If we're gonna give Kawhi and PG these
$800 million, yes,
isn't it 4 for 220?
I think so. Yeah,
it's 4 for 220 for PG is what he's at his next contract. If we're giving him 4 for 220, and things continue to track the same way they have been historically, that's all I'm saying. Just historically, if things continue to do what they're doing, the direction my hand is going.
Yeah. The chart really bad.
That becomes a rough contract.
All your geometry majors.
So those picks become, I think I'm with you. Adam, you have a look of disgust on your face.
No, I like Colin Sexton.
I like
John Collins.
Adam just took 2 earplugs out.
I like DeJounte Murray, who's got a relationship with Kawhi. I mean,
true.
I don't hate the move. I just find it unrealistic. When people complain about why aren't the Clippers doing this, and it's like, well, first of all, it would have to be completed for you to know that they were doing that. I just want more solution-driven stuff that is realistic. And I'm not saying it's totally crazy what you're saying, but it's a little bit fantasy.
It's a little far-fetched. I hear you.
It's not totally
because we haven't heard, but the Hawks have been on record about trying to clear the clutter for guys like AJ Griffin, and Sadiq Bey, who they acquired, who they really like, right? So can you absorb?
The Sadiq Bey hive is so strong on Twitter, by the way.
Right. I like Sadiq Bey too.
Concentrated group.
But what I'm saying is could you? That to me is a realistic trade partner, because you're saying, okay, look, I'm going to give you a star to pair with Trey that works a little bit better than DeJounte Murray. Okay, just a little bit, right?
I think that's
fair. And you're going to have more minutes for guys that you have coming up that you're going to have to pay. They've got a lot of future money. DeAndre Hunter already signed an extension. John Collins signed an extension. And DeJounte Murray is up for an extension, right? This is also part of a money play, right? You give them PG for 2 years. Yeah, exactly. You give them PG for 2 years. They can decide whether or not they want to extend him after this year. They have an easy decision, right? Yes or no. If it's no, they play it out. They let them go. They keep their young guys. They keep kind of the machine turning. Another trade I want to ask you about. Would you do, okay, because you want solutions. The Knicks were mentioned. Would you do Emmanuel Quickly, Josh Hart, and Julius Randle for Paul George?
Nah,
I don't want Julius Randle. I don't know if I want Julius Randle on this team.
Got it. I'd rather him than RJ Barrett.
Well, sure.
RJ Barrett, not a great basketball player, even worse contract. Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
I like Quickly.
If the option is a kick in the nuts or a kick in the shin, I'll take the kick in the shin. Like, that's what I feel like that argument.
What if they add their their extra picks next year?
What are their extra picks next year?
They have like a protected Washington pick, a Detroit pick, and a Dallas pick. all for next year. So they trade none of their own picks. You get 3 picks. One might not convey. That's the Washington pick, I think.
Sure.
But you get 2 first-round picks next year.
So 2 first-round picks.
Plus a maybe third.
Julius Randle quickly.
Josh Hart
for Paul George. We'd have to add something else, which would be one of our older wings.
No,
would be my guess.
that money works.
That money works?
That money works.
Depending on
you still have all your stuff.
What side of the bed I woke up on. I would maybe consider that trade.
You still have all your other stuff.
Adam?
You can work another deal.
Your thoughts?
I consider it. Josh Hart has had injury issues, but yeah, I'd consider it.
We love Terrence Mann, right? What if we had 2? What if we had 2 Terrence Manns?
Then they both couldn't play.
Exactly. Then they both could play 15 minutes a game. Exactly.
Yeah. So that's the thing I kind of want to talk about is like, does your frustration with this team become a lot less if Terrence Mann just ends up playing like 30 minutes a game next year?
No, not if Russ starts. Not if Russ comes back and starts. No.
What if it's the Gortat start?
No.
Even if he just gets the
if Russ is back on this team, they've failed this season. 100%. Because they have capitulated to a losing attitude.
Mr. Thesaurus over here.
Yes, that's true. I am getting my master's. I just finished my last class of my master's.
Your master's in Thesaurus?
Yeah, that's right. I studied the Thesaurus.
Wait, you finish your last class of your master's?
Class. Yeah, I have to do my thesis, so I don't have my master's yet.
Well, congrats. I mean, still a big hurdle. Congrats. Way to go.
I am hammered right now to celebrate. So
absolutely. Wait, did you finish it today?
Yeah, I turned in my last thing yesterday, and then I finished my last assignment today.
Damn, what a way to
that tassel to the side. Let's
go.
Bro.
Come on, throw that cap in the air, man.
Okay, yeah, exactly. Elaborate on this inflammatory comment about Russell Westbrook, and they have committed to capitulate.
The whole reason we got Russell Westbrook is because Paul George didn't like to be picked up full court by Drew Holiday.
You've brought that up.
Yeah,
and
he said it.
He actually did.
I didn't make it up. He literally said it on the podcast with Paul George. Okay.
Quick tangent. Many people have asked me why I hate the Paul George podcast. And it's not that I hate the content of the Paul George podcast. Although sometimes I do hate the content of the Paul George podcast.
Correct.
The reason that I hate it as a thing is he puts his foot in his mouth. Yep. Some people just do that.
There's zero filter. Zero.
I got news for you. You talk long enough, you start to contradict yourself.
He doesn't talk.
I did a podcast for 4 years. Okay, never contradicted myself once. Thank you.
Until right now.
Adam, that's the issue. He doesn't talk very much and he contradicts himself.
Yes, he does.
Before that, we're in the driver's seat.
He can spin yard. He talks.
He can't spin yarn. The man doesn't know a thing about yarn.
Never crocheted a day in his life.
Never crocheted. Doesn't know where it comes from. My issue is he's a put your foot in the mouther. It happens to some people.
Yes.
And it happens to Paul George. And he's been through enough. He's such a good player. He's so underrated.
He's so fantastic as a basketball player.
He's so good. But he just, I don't think, can present the image that the public wants to see of Paul George.
Correct.
I just could give a shit about that compared to what he actually did during the
2021
playoffs when Kawhi went down.
But here's the deal, Adam. Yeah. Since then, what he has said has matched up with what he has done. Okay. The man.
So he's no longer contradicting himself.
Listen, the man told us that his little ego, was bruised because Drew Holiday picked him up full court, which meant he was no longer willing to do what the team needed him to do to succeed. So he said, come and get my security blanket, which is Russell Westbrook, while he was still on another team, Adam.
First of all, I think a lot of people in Clipper Nation would say we don't want the ball in his hands all the time.
Yeah, and they're wrong.
There's certain situations
looking at
where
what
Paul
you just
George
talked about,
having the ball in his hands, that's a problem.
The 2021 playoffs proved that the offense works best when the ball is in his hands and he wants it in his hands.
When he had his Reggie at that level, it worked. You're right.
Okay,
and
so maybe instead of Adam, instead of bringing back in the worst volume 3-point shooter in the history of the NBA, maybe we should bring someone who can fucking shoot for him to have off of him.
I don't know. I just saw him shoot 36% as a Clipper. It seemed like he was
36.
I'm gonna hang up. I'm gonna hang up because this is insane.
That's league average. That's league average.
Insane.
What did
so that he didn't shoot 36%? Are you going to claim small sample size on that, but you wouldn't do it with how many minutes he played next to PG and Kawhi?
Let me look it up, Adam. Let me tell you.
See, this is the thing. You look up. I'm here to moderate between these two. You look up the stats. That's the issue. You bring a stat, you look it up. That's totally fair. I'm on board with that.
I'm positive I've been peeking.
Our research department is clutch.
Hold on. April 25th, 3 for 18. The second time he shot at least 3 for 18 in the playoffs.
He shot 36%.
1 for 6. 1 for 6 from 3.
Tell me in the comment section what tell
negative. He was a negative in the majority of those playoff games. Hold on, sorry.
Yeah, because they were losing them and he was playing heavy minutes.
It says here that
so good.
The offense was bad when he was on the floor. Okay.
So you're no
looks
longer
like he shot
contesting
35%. 35.
No. 0.356. You know you'd be rounding up for anyone else, Joseph.
35%.
Point, Adam. 36%.
Less attempts than he had in LA on the Lakers. And
which
what
is
did
a good thing.
He shot 29.6%. And let's see, the year before that, 29.8%, and then 31.5%.
Hold on.
25.8%, 29%, 29.8%, 34.3%, 29.6%, 29.9%.
I was told that won't change with the Clippers. I was told that many times, Joseph. You said it too. And then he shot 36% from 3.
Do you believe that he'll do it next year?
No.
No, I'm asking Adam. We know that you don't believe it, Joseph.
33% or above at low volume, it's fine.
No, it is not.
It's not
because no one will guard him, Adam.
It's not ideal.
It's bad.
Talking about
for the
options that are realistic and guys who can be initiators like
on the season. We're talking about 3 small samples, right? We're going to talk about how the offense was bad in small samples. Over his entire season, he shot 31.1%.
What does it matter how he looked with the Lakers when he looked like a completely different player?
But the problem that I have with this point, Adam, is when he moved to the bench for the Lakers, he was productive.
Oh, I will say he would be.
I said right away, I would love to have Russ run the second unit. I said that's the best spot for him. I agree with you.
Right. So because Russell Westbrook had the heater of all shooting aberrations that has ever happened in this whole entire universe.
It's just weird because Reggie had that happen too. And Batum had it happen.
But
and
Reggie could actually shoot beforehand, right? Reggie could actually shoot beforehand. But he could shoot.
He wasn't shooting 43% from 3.
Yeah, but he wasn't shooting 28% from 3 for his career.
Yes. And one
on
guy
high
went to
volume.
36. I mean, he went up 8% from his all-time high, Reggie Jackson, from 3.
Okay, but Reggie can actually shoot. Russ can't.
The floor for Reggie is higher. The floor is higher for Reggie.
Yes, Mike Conley would have been a better pairing. I would have given my left lung for Mike Conley.
Your left lung?
Reggie is a 35% three-point shooter.
I didn't want to say the other thing, which is the phrase. I didn't want to say that, so I used lung.
Lung is too much, but so wait.
The lung transplant too much, way too much.
Russ, is Russ even coming back? I think for the whole season, we will maybe see more of what Joseph is talking about. I don't know if it's the extreme of what Joseph is talking about, but history is not necessarily on our side.
With Russ coming back?
No, of his 3-point performance is what I'm saying. It's like the Rocco thing. I would love it if Rocco would shoot. What did he shoot on corner threes?
Like 70% almost. Those 21 games.
That would be fantastic. Even half of that would be great. But
hold on, I'll get you the corner 3-point numbers right now.
No, Rocco's were insane. Rocco was unconscious from 3-point in the corner.
You know, Russ has had some good years on corner threes.
He's had one, Adam. I've looked it up.
He's had a couple.
he's had 2, which is technically a couple.
Whether or not Russ works to me isn't fully dependent on whether or not he can hit threes.
But
it's dependent more about Coach Lou and how he uses them.
That's a fair point. Because
no
Coach
matter what,
Ty lose Morris a lot and Moses Brown. Both
no matter what,
hot take, bad ideas.
If Russ is on the team, their ceiling is lowered. No matter what. No matter what. Because having a guy that is that turnover prone and that negative as a shooter is going to put the Stars in a phone booth. It's clear as day. If you watched them operate with him on the floor, it was bad.
I saw him score 175 points one game with Russ on the floor. I don't know.
Okay, to be fair, we also lost that game.
Well, we are talking about defense right now, which they were actually much better, that group, with Russ on the floor defensively.
Dude,
so can you really take a lot from that sample when defensively they were ridiculously good, the 2-1-3 connection with Russ?
Adam, you know who Russ is as a player.
I do.
You know who he is.
But
he's been in the league for 75 years. You know what defenses are going to do. Yes, you can take that.
Aware. And I'm also aware that he played differently as a Clipper than he did as a Laker.
Okay, he set like 5 screens, bro. That doesn't mean he's a good shooter.
He set more screens in his first game than he did with the Lakers all season long. Like,
I get it. I understand the optimism, but at the same time, dude, you know who he is as a player. Rocco shot 40.9% from the corners this season.
No, the season when he went crazy.
It
was 40.9 this season, so
still pretty crazy.
Joseph, what's your solution? Because I think
don't bring a player that makes it harder for your Stars back.
But so we were just talking about this. Who's the starting point next year? Realistically, we all want it to maybe be Terrence Mann, but who do you think? You know what I'm saying? If it's not Russ, who's Tyler going for?
Man, I don't know. I mean, Terry Rozier probably.
Okay, we talked about him.
Love that.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
I called him a rich man's Reggie Jackson. You must love him.
I've loved Terry Rozier for a long time. I loved what he did off the 2 stars in Boston. He's a guy who's proved that he can shoot off the ball. He's got a little bit of length. He's got a little bit of downhill stuff. And he defends. Like that's all that matters.
He tries. That's a fair call. So that's a realistic move that could actually happen.
Yeah, I think trading Eric Gordon and Brandon Boston or whatever for
what do you mean?
I know the future star of this
league. The future,
bro. But if you could turn that into Terry Rozier, I think that's a pretty much of a no-brainer.
That's a nice little trade situation.
Hey, people can say I was wrong about John Wall, but I was right about
can we talk about how much you were wrong about John Wall for a second? Can we talk about how much you were wrong about John Wall?
Hey, at one point you bought in, Joseph. If you play both sides, you can't be wrong.
No, listen, I came on your show and I was nice to you. No, I was nice to you, but the whole time I knew how much that wasn't going to work. Okay. Terrible fit. Just can we stop? Can we stop bringing point guards that can't fucking shoot on this team?
Never gonna happen, buddy. Literally never gonna happen.
If there was that perfect guy that was attainable and that easy to get, I think they would have got him.
Oh, someone asked a question: why couldn't Boston give us Marcus Smart? Because we don't have any.
Well, I mean, it would have cost a future pick for sure.
Would you have? I would have dealt a future pick for Marcus Smart.
I probably would have dealt a future pick.
He's awesome
for Marcus Smart.
Reigning DPOY.
I think he's perfect.
Would be great on this Clips team.
Mm-hmm.
I was surprised he went for that.
It was a crazy price.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What would you have offered, Adam?
Me?
Oh, no, Adam. Would you go first? Would you go first round pick next year or whatever?
2 firsts for Marcus Smart and whatever you need to make the salary work. Yeah, I probably would have done it.
Damn.
He's still, I think, 28.
Would you have done it if it was Terrence?
Yeah, because I would, because Terrence isn't going to play, which I don't. Yeah. I'm not saying he shouldn't play. It's the Rocco thing.
I just seeing what they got, I don't think it would have taken Terrence.
Yeah, fair
but
point.
I'm saying, like, if that was the price, would you have done Terrence Mann number 30 and then a 2028 first round pick?
Easy.
Probably not.
I think I would have done it. Marcus Smart, I don't know. Yeah, that's a guy who I feel like fits really well next to
perfect
fit. And as we've said, innings eater.
Yep. Good defender.
That'd be nice.
A little bit. But
some spark.
So are you totally opposed to what Russell Westbrook brings in the regular season?
Dude, yes.
He said yes so fast.
Yes. Because here's the fundamental problem with that, right? Here's the fundamental problem.
He does
with that.
care.
If Russell Westbrook is what your team needs, you need a new team.
From the belief
if they cannot get up on their own, then there needs to be drastic changes. And that's exactly why I feel the way that I feel. Because if Russell Westbrook actually saved the season, and guess what? I believe Ty when he says that, right? I believe him because the answer wasn't on the basketball court. It was off of it. Russ saved the season off the court. And the fact that that's true means that this team needs to be blown up because that's pathetic.
I mean, that could just mean they're missing something. I don't know if they have to blow it all up.
It's pathetic.
But that's where the PG trade, right? Because like trading PG isn't blowing it up. That's a missing something thing.
But it's shaking things up enough to where people are like, okay, it's time to do something different.
What changed for you after 2021 with the second half and through the playoffs? It felt like the vibes were right.
So it honestly was, it was really early, if I'm going to be real with you. You know, as you guys know, like I was there every game. I came to every game this season, you know, when it was a home game, and I tried to get the vibes and like all this other stuff. Right. And early this year, they just didn't care. And to me,
Law said the same thing.
To me, I've got some information on that. But like there is a problem that I had from the beginning of the season, which was all off season long. They sold us this bill of goods, right? That they're determined, they're working, they had their year off. This is it. They're locked in, all this bullshit, right? And then they come out and they just don't care. Kawhi, I'm going to come off the bench now, right? Oh, I can't do this. And then he hurts himself because he was too big coming in from camp. And
that's a fact. We know that's where the injury came from.
I'm speculating. But like the dude was at least 35 pounds too heavy. And once he slimmed down, he looked like
I don't think he lost 35 pounds.
I don't think so. Well,
35 feels a bit heavy.
I wasn't on
weight for wrestling.
Was it? You saw all the videos of him coming.
I loved it. I was like, oh,
he looked like he was built like a fucking freight train.
Yeah, and it was
then
great.
All of a sudden he looked like Kawhi again, and he starts putting up 30 points a night. Crazy.
He always comes. He came in just like that in 2021. I remember people said the same thing. Look at Kawhi's bulked up. He's hulked up. He does that all the time. And then he loses it as the season goes along.
This was a different degree because of his injury. Anyway. They came in with a bad attitude. They came in not caring. And then they continued to not give a shit the entire season. So I honestly, I thought that maybe for a minute when they finally jettisoned John Wall, that the security blanket BS was over and that the stars were going to be the stars. And then they lose to the Bucks because Paul George was uncomfortable handling the ball. And then he says publicly, demands publicly that Russell Westbrook consider coming to the Clippers so that he can feel comfortable being off the ball. This is the same player that said that the reason why the Doc Rivers iteration of the Clippers didn't work is because he didn't have the ball in his hands enough. And now he says his game was not coming off pin downs and coming off of screens. Now he's going to say that his game is also not handling the ball. So what is your game, Paul? What is it? Is it on the bench? Is it not playing basketball? Do you just not play basketball? Thanks, Deuce Times. I am a moron. I told you it was gonna be spicy. I'm like, oh, this week's a good time.
Funny. Oh my god, that is hilarious.
Hey, you've been getting love too.
For those of you not watching on @Clippers podcast on YouTube, Deuce Time just that's just very funny. I don't.
Yeah, that's great. I love that. I love that Deuce Times. I am a moron. This is just me like unhinged because I retired. But like, dude, I mean, how are you going to flip flop like that? You demand the ball in your hands. You get the ball in your hands. One good defender picks you up full court. And now you need your security blanket.
I mean, he gave an example. Are we not blowing it out of proportion just a little
No.
bit? Drew Holiday comments. Are you not taking that and running with it a little too much? Maybe.
No.
Like he probably did the same thing with the next 5 games.
It changed the season. It changed the season.
Changed the season?
You think it was a culmination of things? It was a
I thought they didn't give a shit to start the season. Wouldn't that have changed the season?
Did they finally look good when Terrence Mann got into the starting lineup? I don't care about the competition. I've heard that lazy thing all the time.
Law brought up a good point about that, which I don't think that makes necessarily what you're saying not true, Joseph. But Law brought up the point that was when PG and Kawhi were playing playoff minutes. Like they were playing a higher minutes, which helps everyone look better.
And then what happened when they played playoff minutes with Russ?
Didn't go as well.
Their defense was amazing. That's what the advanced stats say. Okay, you can't say it was all bad if the defense looked that good. They were still a +5 net rating.
So the worst. Okay, so listen.
You don't even know a pair of Jordans, bro. What the
11 players played with Kawhi and Paul George this season. Okay.
That feels
only
low.
4.
Am I wrong?
Had offensive ratings that were lower than what would be in like the top 5 of the league. What? Let's see. So like 116.9 is the lowest among what I'm looking at, and that was Eric Gordon. Okay. Paul George with Marcus Morris, 213 with Marcus Morris, 118.8. 213 with Reggie Jackson, 119. 213 with Nico Batum, 119.5. 213 with Zoo, 119.6. 213 with Luke, 122.2. 213 with Terrence Mann, 126.1.
Now do defense.
Okay.
Oh, that doesn't fit the narrative.
We can do that too. No, we can do that too.
He's looking it up.
We can do net rating too. But here's the deal.
It's a +5 net, right?
110.6 with Mason.
Defensive rating?
110. No, this is offense. 110.5 with Russ. The Norm minutes were terrible too. 109.2. John Wall, 107.1. No, like trio had ever been that bad until this season.
And how many minutes?
Come on, dude. How do you feel about those?
How do you feel
about those Luke minutes? How did you feel about those Luke minutes?
Kennard?
Mm-hmm.
When?
This season. How did you feel about the 2-1-3 Luke minutes this season?
They were sporadic.
Rashawn Holmes was going to Dallas.
Sorry. Oh shit, no way.
I want the Clippers to make a move. I'm sorry.
I felt like Luke was put in some really bad positions this season.
Hey, Adam. How many minutes? How many minutes do you think Russ, Paul George, and Kawhi played?
I said 100 earlier, so.
Okay, 230.
Okay.
Okay, let's sort by minutes.
I don't think either of y'all is gonna win the other.
A game's 48, so it was 10 games.
Of those 11, 1, 2, 3.
The Lakers are gonna trade their 17th pick.
6. Right in the middle. About as many minutes as they played with Nico Batum.
So it's a significant enough sample size for you.
Mm-hmm.
So then the defense is also significant with Russ in those two.
What was the defensive rating?
It was like 105. It was really good.
That's tight.
Mm-hmm.
So there's two sides of this story. Which one do we believe?
The offense, because I know who Russ is as an offensive
Only
player.
the offensive part. I agree with you. I said from the beginning, we still don't really know if that could ever work. But I do think
they forced it. Adam.
There are good things with Russell Westbrook, especially in the regular season. And if he comes back for $3.8 million, it is tough to find better value than that.
The problem is, Adam, if he's coming back, it's because Paul needs him. Right?
I don't agree with the psychoanalysis on Paul George. I'm sorry.
He's going to get big minutes in the playoffs. He is, dude.
I think it's a lot of look how smart I am as a Clipper fan. I'm not saying
No,
you, Joseph, but I think a
I'm
lot of
not. I'm
people
not
like to
smart.
do
I'm
this
not.
and be like, how can you have that mentality?
Two times
How
made it
can you
very
be
clear
this
that
type of
Joseph is a
player?
moron.
All I'm
Look
saying,
at
Adam,
him
is
contradict himself. And it's like, yeah, you pick apart pretty much any player that talks for a bit and has a podcast. It's going to happen a lot. You pick apart any of us, it's going to happen a lot.
No, I think I'd be good.
Okay,
look,
maybe Chuck.
Not at all.
Deuce Times, I really appreciate it. I have been a Clipper fan my whole life. And
He's got a Danning Manning, bro.
dude, Manning. Clipper star. Look,
Boston, God, every team is making moves. Sorry.
all I'm saying
Clippers aren't doing anything.
I'm
is
on record.
that-
I'd much rather have Westbrook coming off the bench.
For
On
sure.
record, bro.
And I don't
just
think the Terrence Mann stuff was that credible. I think 3 of those games,
Deuce
I don't
Times is
know.
flaming me.
I was
Blaming
stenographer
me.
that day when Adam went on record saying Rush to come off the bench. I only had 3 keys and I put them in the right combos.
Chuck had to alert the media. That was a big day for all of us.
Look,
The Terrence Mann
all of
10-4 record, overtime against New York, and they almost blew 2 games against Atlanta and Chicago. I'm not saying I don't want Terrence Mann as the starter. I do think when people just throw out, look, 10-4, everything was fine. It was not fine still. Go into the granular level with those games. It wasn't.
all I'm saying is to go to the granular level, the offense had been in the toilet the entire season. The entire season, no matter who was in the floor. The offense was in the toilet. Terrence Mann gets inserted into the starting lineup. Offense takes off.
More minutes for
That's
PG
not a
and Kawhi.
coincidence, man.
More minutes for PG and Kawhi.
Oh wait, let's talk the Terrence Mann thing because we're keeping 30. I don't know if we're gonna be able to trade Marcus Morris for whatever. Terrence Mann, there's no world in which he starts, right?
Well,
I don't
maybe.
mean that from a should he. I don't mean that from
maybe.
a should he.
I think it depends on what they do with like their
put him in there.
4 position. I think if they go to Kawhi and they say you're going to be our starting 4, right? You don't have to bulk up, whatever. We understand that we don't have to actually have.
Pounds. Put on 45 more pounds.
No, I'm
All
just saying. I think there's a possibility that Terrence starts pretty much no matter what. You slide 2-1-3 down a position, and whoever it is that starts at the point, whether it's Russ, who's probably most likely at this point, or whatever,
or Gordon,
that Terrence could start
at the 2. Adam, how do you feel with Terrence at the 2? Because can we even convince Kawhi to slide down to the 4? I don't know if they have. I don't mean that in a weird way, but
if that's the most likely spot that Terrence starts, as long as he starts, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
More minutes overall.
Start him at the 5. Have him take the jump ball.
And it shows a belief in him once again, which I'm still perplexed about the fact that they closed with him in the 21 playoffs in big moments, and this season they went away from him. That is hard to reconcile.
Did he even crack 30 minutes in the playoffs?
No, it was 23 a game, right, Chuck?
Let me look, but I'm pretty sure it was the same amount as when Kawhi was in or out. His numbers didn't change.
I said last year, even with all of the BS that went on, that the Clippers did have a formula to win, like to really win. Obviously, the injuries, as they always do, kind of reared their ugly heads and took away that formula. But I also felt like the Clippers never built
23 minutes per game last year.
Yeah.
Wow. I
don't think that they ever built habits. You asked like when I was out on Paul George, on whatever. It's really the whole team, right?
Thing.
They never built good habits. And it felt like the difference between 20 and 21 was Ty's ability to get everybody pulling in the same direction, right? It finally felt like everybody was together. It took a long time. That 21 season was also up and down. But by the end of the season, they kind of were all pulling in the same direction, and they kind of had all figured it out.
Well, they had the Atlanta game where something was born out of that night, and therefore
that's right. Yeah, exactly.
Man, we've done so many episodes of this show, and I think Adam's worked that into every single one.
It's so good, Adam. I love that bit.
You're on the
Joseph, if you didn't come on, I wouldn't have been able to do it, man. Clutch on your part. Thanks for coming on tonight.
I just think I think that this season, the reason why I have such a sour taste in my mouth and the reason why I want such obviously, hot takey, huge changes to be made,
Sure.
is that this group specifically kind of proved to us that they didn't have it together anymore. Ty didn't have it. The Stars didn't have it. The role players were fed up. Everybody's a little older. Like, to me, the reason why running it back is such a big deal, even if it comes with Russ or whatever, and let's say Russ has another great run as a Clipper and like the regular season is great, is like they're not building the right habits
Right.
as a team, no matter what.
Having said that, and you can keep going, but I just want to know, did you think they were going to beat Phoenix after game 1 in the series?
Oh, absolutely, because I'm a fan.
But
a fair weather fan.
Even if you
Doesn't
take
have
the
a Danny Manning
emotions,
contract.
if you take the emotions out of it, did it not look like, okay, Kawhi's back, they got the best player in the series, and they can win this even without Paul George? Like,
Obviously,
the magic
I
is
think
there; they can
Phoenix,
pull it off.
Obviously, to me, it was more about I think Phoenix are frauds, right? That's number one.
Hey,
I'm the
preaching to the
preeminent
choir there, buddy.
Hey, they think they are too. They had to get Beal.
Yeah, preaching to the
I'm
choir
like,
there.
I'm like the preeminent Chris Paul hater, like whatever, right? I thought I was fueled by my hate more than I was by my hope, right? I didn't look at this Clipper team and was like, oh yeah, dude, we're winning the title. The whole year, I thought if they won the title, they were going to back their way into it. Like, it wasn't going to be, oh, the Clippers are like this dominant team. It was going to be like they kind of fell into a round where they had an advantageous matchup and then they won a title. So,
Which
yes,
happens.
watching game 1, I was like, oh my God, this Phoenix team really isn't who everybody thought they were.
Right.
I was right. That's how I felt.
The best feeling
Right.
in the world when you look
The
to the
best.
sky and say, I was right.
Yeah.
No credit to the
And
Clippers looking like they flipped a switch at all, because it sure seemed
it's
like the
Kawhi,
intensity
man.
was there.
I
The
know who
Kawhi
Kawhi
switch
is.
exists. The Kawhi.
I
So
know who Kawhi is.
I will say the only player.
There's more than Kawhi, though.
I agree,
was.
but the only
It was
player that
Coach
I
Lue.
trust to actually flip a switch is Kawhi because we've seen him do it.
I mean, Norm had 40 in game 3.
Sure.
Russ looked
Love
different.
Norm, too.
He had the amazing play, the out of bounds play on Booker, the block in game 1. Like,
He was also
everybody
3 for 19 and
ramped
tanked
up.
the offense the entire first half. Like, we can talk about his defense, that's fine, but like he was terrible in that first half. Terrible.
I agree. He had bad halves. I don't know if he put together a complete game, but
No.
outside of Kawhi, I can't say really any Clipper did in that series.
No. Well, Norm, the one
Maybe
game,
game
the
3
40
Norm.
Didn't
40
Plumlee
40
show
point
some
game.
Showtime handles or something? I'd give him a complete game.
Norm tried to win us game 5. Okay, not Norm. Plumlee, Plum Dog
Yeah,
Millionaire,
Oh,
tried to win us game 5. Okay,
Bro,
Plum
Big
was like,
Plum.
"We might be going home.
We love
I'm not
Big
going
Plum,
home."
dude.
Yeah.
big
Big
switch flipped.
Yeah, Big Plum finally woke up game 5.
Yeah. we got to unleash Big Plum.
Go on, though, about your thoughts about
Only a couple more
this,
picks.
this
Still the
season.
Clippers. We get to see this game-changing 30th pick.
We're gonna win, bro.
Let's
I
go.
hope
We're going
Russo
to talk
gets
about
his-
that pick for 5 minutes, and then we're going to end the stream, by the way. Is what
Yeah,
we're gonna do.
I should have gotten off 15 to 30 minutes ago. It was my bad. I'm sorry, everybody.
I
No,
was
man.
instigating too much.
No, we love it.
No, I just think I think this group has proven that it's stale, and that's why I want something big. Right? Is they have basically shown that they are willing to be complacent, and I think that's kind of top down.
Marketing-wise, yeah, they reused the damn playoff stuff.
That's well, yeah. The playoff shirts were from last year's slogan, which I
Yeah.
thought was very funny.
All hands, bro. All hands. Wait, is it all hands or no quarters given? All or nothing? What are we doing here?
Yeah, I know.
Folks.
It was all convoluted. I just
I'm
think
walking
top
into
down,
traffic right now.
if they just run it back, which again, no guarantee. This could all look really stupid, like whatever. Maybe they listen to this and they're motivated. If they run it back, they're just complacent because they're worried about opening the arena instead of worried about winning.
Well, I think
games.
Ballmer's worried about that.
But that permeates, right? And I think this feels really simplistic, but like if you're gonna look at the slogans and everything they did in that first year of 2-1-3, that not working, I think really did them a disservice.
Sure.
And has made them kind of gun shy about looking stupid again. Because if they had won in 2019, 2020, which I am convinced they would have had COVID not happened, they would have looked like the coolest, greatest marketing team. All of it would have looked awesome. But because they lost and the way that they lost, there's this stain about taking risks now in the organization. And I think that has stuck. And that's kind of been like my biggest gripe.
Bugaboo.
Yeah.
I mean,
No
it sounds
irrational
like
moves.
you think they're taking a risk if they keep this group together. So
that's fair. You got me there. Yeah, Adam wins. Adam wins this round. Yeah.
That's so funny. Yeah, the biggest risk of all is almost keeping this group together.
I honestly, this season was frustrating on many levels. So I get where Joseph is coming from. I'm also still looking at it. You say things have gotten stale. I'm still looking at it as I see that to a point, but maybe we're making too much of one season, and it could have easily been covered up had they gotten past the first round and played a competitive series against the Denver Nuggets. And then we're saying, okay, this team, they're still not far away.
I don't think that that's true. And the reason why I don't think that's true is winning first round series can't be good enough. Right. And I think that my core principle as a fan,
don't put me in that position. This ain't straw man.
What I'm saying is what you're talking about, right, is the fact that if they had beat Phoenix, right, which everybody predicted they wouldn't win, let's say they do that, and then they play 7 games against Denver, which nobody probably would have predicted anyway. A couple people on ESPN probably would have picked the Clippers to win if Paul George was out there, whatever. We can talk about all that. But to me, you have to have a championship mindset from day one through the end of the season.
What is that?
When you put together a team like this, and when you take the risk that they did to get Paul George and Kawhi, that they did, anything short of a championship is a failure. And you have to move that way. And
what does a championship mindset mean, Joseph, when you say that?
When you look at everything that happened,
about CrossFit and streetwear. That's what PG needs to talk
about. That's right. He only talks about the grind. He becomes name. He just talks about the grind.
Yeah. All he talks about is the grind, you know.
What I mean by that, Adam, is this team had every ability to come into the last season with a chip on their shoulder, right? They lost the season of Kawhi. PG got hurt. They didn't really get a run in last year's playoffs, all that stuff. And they came out and they just didn't care. And
it looked like that to you night one. It looked like that against the Lakers.
Yes.
I don't think it looked like that against the Lakers the first game. Kawhi came out and immediately went to his spot and hit a jumper.
We can talk about game one, whatever. They always get up for the Lakers no matter what. Even in this season where they didn't play well, they got up every game for the Lakers, right?
They get up for the Lakers.
They do get up for the Lakers for sure. Would you categorize the first week of the season as a team that was look, Ty Lue literally came out and told us they weren't ready for the beginning of the season. He came out and said in a post-game press conference, we asked him, what is your biggest concern? He said, we're not ready.
We never.
You think that's a championship mindset?
That's consistency.
I think what he was talking about more so is I don't remember if that was when Kawhi went out. I mean, it kind of derails that championship mindset when you lose the guy that you thought was coming back and everything was going to be all good. And then a weekend they lose Kawhi. It just seems like it's natural that, you might lose some of that championship mindset or that focus.
Look,
and there's nothing they could do about that. What could they do about that Kawhi injury?
Well, there's a lot they could have done about that Kawhi injury.
Get him on the staff. What are we waiting for?
Not even making it better. I think that they handled it. They handled it poorly.
Okay, regardless if he's not playing, it's a problem.
All I'm saying is that the Clippers did not attack this season the way that they should have. and looking at a group that didn't do that and saying, yeah, that's good enough, is what I'm trying to avoid. And that's what I'm talking about in terms of like championship mindset and all that other stuff.
Well, I am nowhere near saying that's good enough or saying that a first round win over the Phoenix Suns would have made it okay.
I just think that clear. when we are now this far into this build, right?
Is it a build at this point? Because it feels built.
Well, it is. We built it. It's built.
Right.
It is a structure now. Like we're this far into it.
We're doing some refabs. Yeah.
Like you can't look back and say that this is okay. Like what happened last year in any other like any other system is not okay.
You're saying if they bring back Kawhi and Paul George, they're complicit
and Russ
in saying
and the
that's
same team.
okay.
I don't think it's just those two, because I don't think it's like bringing back Kawhi and Paul George. That's not necessarily something
you could make the argument that that's okay as long as you shuffle everything around them.
Yeah, because I think we all agree here they need some different power forwards. Other than the combination right now of Morris, which they've already tried to trade.
Right.
But
so who are you accusing of saying that's okay then?
Everybody.
Who's saying
it's everybody.
That's okay?
Everybody. The proverbial
it's everybody.
But there is an offseason happening.
It's Lawrence Frank. It's the front office.
Could be made.
It's the coach. I understand that, but here's the
deal. How are they saying it's okay?
Adam, do you think that any other franchise would make zero drastic changes after a season like last year?
You're acting like it's October, Joseph. It's not. The offseason just started.
Adam, would they keep their coach? Would they keep their front office? Would they keep their stars? Would they keep their supporting cast? Do you think that that's what would happen in any other situation after the season that the Clippers just had?
No, and I don't know if the Clippers are doing that either. Is the point, Joseph? You're saying you're already condemning them for an offseason that hasn't happened yet. That's ridiculous. You're saying they're saying it's okay by the moves that they made this offseason when the offseason hasn't started.
The Clippers don't move in silence like everybody says, and there hasn't been enough noise about shaking shit up.
How much is enough for you? How much do you need? And the fact that if there's two teams that did talk to them about Paul George, to your point earlier, you want more talk about Paul George.
One more pick than the Clips.
If there's two teams that have already talked about him, then other teams know he's available and would be calling. Like they don't have to raise the flag that's saying we're okay with trading Paul George. Like we're not going to know how much is scuttlebutt, as you would say, Chuck, is going on.
That's what everyone should use, by the way.
Adam, you're right, and I have absolutely made a nemesis out of Deuce Times. I mean, this guy is just giving me the business in these comments.
He hates you, bro.
You are so right.
Deuce, and chill.
I told Chuck when I texted him that I was just going to come on here and rant. Okay.
So, you have, to be fair.
Adam,
I just think you're a smart guy and you already offered solutions. So I'm just playing the other side of it.
Let me do my bit. It's my turn. Okay. I'm doing my skip right now. Let me do my bit.
My turn. It's my turn. That is one of the greatest things ever.
It's
you said it was my turn.
God, he sucks. God, he sucks. God, he sucks.
But he's fantastic at it. Like, let me do my skip.
I know he's good at his shitty characters.
Adam, you and I have rational conversations all the time.
There's about to be 4 more minutes in the Clippers pick, by the way.
Oh, man.
We got another 3 hours of this. Oh, shit. Did it go down?
Skip wouldn't last 3 hours without another case of Diet Mountain Dew.
God, sorry. Getting intel, guys. Hold on.
Oh. Respond. Joseph, you getting some intel? What'd they say?
I got sources, bro.
Am I being drafted?
Yeah, that's right.
Wow. Classic Clippers pick.
So we're at Utah, then Indiana, then the Clippers.
I'm going to Denver? Let's go. All right. Clippers are on the clock. Man. We're about to change the damn franchise, y'all. This is it.
You're going to have to tell me who it is because I don't have it on.
Joseph,
you don't have the draft on.
If they are in win now mode, regardless if they move Paul George, they should probably just trade the pick, right?
Yeah.
We don't need this guy. I don't mean that as a disrespect, but
he's just not going to play for a team that's trying to win a championship.
Yeah. There are too many players ahead of them, right? Like there was a lot of a kind of pushback on like including Amir, and it's like Amir didn't play, and when he did play, he wasn't great.
Dude,
Right? He's
right.
like he's a 26-year-old guy. Like it's not.
Have
like
you
he's
ever heard
losing
of
some foundational piece.
January 2021? You
Yeah.
freaking idiot.
I was in love with him, and I clamored for him to play all
Right, but
this
he didn't.
season. Right.
I was surprised Tomer was that upset too.
Made no sense. We love Tomer, but it made
I got
no
mad
sense.
at Tomer. I got mad at Tomer in the chat.
He loves the coffee puns the most.
I know. I just think at this point, if you're going to kind of keep it the way it is, you got to do what you can to sort of reshuffle what's around 2-1-3. And your best kind of asset is 30. And I don't think that if you're contemplating not giving 2-1-3 a full extension, right, which Zach Lowe talked
Which it
about.
has to be, right? Someone's going to give them a full extension.
Well,
the Clippers aren't going to get some kind of deal on it.
You can't keep kicking the can down. Like you can't keep trading away all your future picks on a group that hasn't proven to have the right kind of identity. So I'd trade 30. I wouldn't really trade anything in the future unless it's something crazy. But I just don't see that happening either.
We all like Brogdon, but
I don't like his tendon or lack of tendon, whatever the hell.
Yeah, his elbow apparently is made out of paper mache. My sources are telling me.
He can't even get Tommy John surgery. He doesn't have the ligament.
The first thing I thought of,
sorry, go ahead.
I was wondering if he had the same thing that Paul George had, his injury. He had like Tommy John for a basketball player apparently doesn't matter.
Right. You know, which to me, like if that was the this guy Deuce Times, I need to know who this is. I need to meet this guy because he has given me the business.
He's giving me the business. Good.
But
that's a pretty good line, actually.
I don't want to give him any
bar. That's fucking bars. Yeah, Deuce Times. For those of you not watching, Deuce Times said he wouldn't believe Joseph if his tongue was notarized.
I know that's a good one, dude. He's flaming me in these comments.
That's also how you know, and I mean this respectfully, that he's old as hell. That's an old as hell person saying, and I mean this in a nice way.
That's right.
I can't wait to have those saying.
He did like Danning Mannings. Danning Mannings was his favorite player. So
that's like saying I once had an old guy tell me when I was working on the ranch that he had a hernia's worth of paperwork to do.
That's fantastic. That's an
old as hell term, which I love. Come on, Clips, make the pick. Wait, Leonard Miller?
Is it in?
I don't know. I saw one tweet that said Leonard Miller, but it's from an account that I don't necessarily trust.
Who's Leonard Miller? Please tell me.
Bro, I don't fucking know.
Okay, cool.
Are you anti-college basketball fan as well, Joseph?
I really was like a huge college basketball fan for a long time. And then the game started to get worse.
Law tweeted out a Reggie Miller gif. Miller. Am I going crazy here?
6'10". Oh, God, he's 6'10". Oh, no. 6'10", 19.
He's from Canada. G League Ignite.
SGA Canadian.
Let's go.
They've had a lot of luck with Canadians, guys. Xavier Moon.
Good versatility on the defensive end. Has to add some weight, obviously. Classic Clippers draft pick. Needs to add some weight.
Oh, he's not an undersized 5, but in my heart. I said he's not an undersized 5, but in my heart.
No, he's just a 4. He's just a normal 4.
He's a 6, yo.
He's a 6, dude. Oh,
hell yeah, dude. He's a Terrence.
He's a Terrence. He'll do whatever we want and, get disrespected kind of maybe a little bit along the way. Come on, Clips, make it official.
Someone's saying Gregory Jackson.
What's going on? Who is it?
Oh, man.
What's in the box?
A lot of people want Leonard Miller. Oh, man. We should timestamp the moment that we all find out the draft.
How is it that it's 8-11 and the Clippers are just finally picking? It's the 30th pick.
It's way too long, bro. It's way too long.
NBA's 3 hours?
3 hours?
What else is going on? It's just NBA and baseball. They're going to own the moment.
Baseball's going on.
College baseball's going on, dude. I've been watching the shit out of the College World Series.
Yeah, dude. Dodgers 2 in a row.
Someone just said, when are they going to announce the Scoot for PG trade?
Are they about to trade down? What if the Clippers trade down? If the Clippers
That'd
trade
be
out of the
cool.
first round, you're going to get a really cool first-person view of me smashing the shit out of my computer.
If they trade back to the last pick, are we staying on until they
This
take
is
that
the
pick?
last. Yeah, we're going to stay on till pick 60. That's what we're going to stay on till. I'm going to do
It is the 9th hour of the Clips and Dip draft extravaganza.
Yeah, we haven't eaten anything. Joseph's still here. We've all lost our jobs.
He just has the
things are
handle in his
going
hand.
good.
At some point, Will be able to show up, I think.
Theoretically.
If we hang on long enough.
Yeah.
If we stay on long enough.
Hey, Carl, how long is this Taco John's BS? Come on.
So yeah, I don't know. It's gonna be there. Apparently, there was a bunch of scouts at Pepperdine games for the Clippers.
You know what this has turned into, Chuck?
What?
One of those moments, to circle back to the very beginning of this podcast,
Always bringing it
where
all
you
around.
wish you could
Where
get the
something was
news on
born.
Twitter early.
This is
Oh, yeah.
actually. I would love that.
Chuck wants the spoiler finally.
I want. Well, when you pick 30, I think you should be given the pick before everyone else picks. The 30th
Amoni
pick should
Bates?
actually pick first.
Did we get Amani Bates?
Imoni.
That would kind of suck.
Norman
He's the
Bates, guy's a
perfect-
killer.
Perfect Clippers pick, Amani Bates.
Money Bates, the dude who was like supposed to be good and then like had one good game, and they were like, could he be the best?
Kobe Brown, according to Jake Fisher.
Kobe Brown. Sham
Bringing
said
it
it
on
too.
down, Kobe Brown.
Kobe Brown.
Kobe Brown? We
Let's
got a
go.
Kobe?
6'8" from Mizzou. 23.
I knew it. I talked about this earlier in the stream that the Clippers would take an older guy. I nailed that part.
Props
Kobe
to Chuck.
Brown, welcome to the team with your old ass. We can talk about what are we talking about? How many
Big
doors
consolidation trade coming?
Yeah, yeah. How many doors our AAA cards can open us? What's up, Kobe Brown? I hope you put Kobe on the back of your jersey. Actually, no, that would be crazy.
He's still young enough to be named after the late great Kobe Bryant. I'd take that. 23
Sure.
ain't old. They need a ready-made player, okay?
Oh yeah, Kobe. Yeah. All right, minutes. All right, what are we thinking? Minutes per game. Kobe Brown first season under over
45% from 3.
I'll take it
For real.
on 3 attempts a game. That's efficient.
And he and Russ at the 3-point shootout's going to be crazy.
I know, dude.
This fucking guy.
They're both going to shoot over
I'm delirious
40%.
at this point, and god damn it, Adam.
I'm old enough to remember when Marcus Morris said he was going to lead the league in 3-point shooting, and then he and Luke Kennard were fighting for it.
This guy's offensive rating is senior year $128.
Wow.
Get on board, Joseph. Get on board, buddy.
That's Terrence Mann levels.
That's Terrence Mann numbers. You know what his defensive rating was? $104.
Wow.
Welcome to hell, other teams. Sorry, I don't know how else to say it.
I'm back in. I'm all the way back in.
What are we thinking for Kobe Brown year 1? What's he going to put up in the G League? And I mean that in a nice way, because
38 minutes a game, 47 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists.
Oh, 6'8", 250.
Big
At
boy.
least 10
21,
Space
22,
Jam
all
dunks.
SEC team. Average 16 a game. Let's go. Weaknesses: despite being quick and nimble for his size, he doesn't boast a vertical leap that jumps off the page. No pun intended. Maybe a disadvantage when going up against bigger players in the front court. Let's go. Fouls too quickly. Older prospect. Perception of limited upside.
Wrecked.
This is a Clippers pick.
Wrecked.
This is a Clipper. He is a brick house. TSO Flake said he's a brick house. He looks like a brick house. This is going to be a good time.
He's got that in common with Scoot.
Sure. Oh yeah, very similar. Might be the similar player, similar projections. You know, the rookie
Kobe Brown
class,
is a bench player. How dare you? How dare you, sir?
Adam wants him started.
The nerve.
Adam says start him. Get Marcus out of here. Put Kobe Brown at the 4. Unique combination as a wing player after averaging a career high 3.3 attempts per game from 3. Wow. Let's go. You know, proven glass crasher.
Oh, need that.
Need
The
that.
Marcus Morris archetype.
Let's go. Him and Musa. Bro, if you go small with him and Musa for the Caliente Clippers, good luck. Good luck.
Ontario Clippers now. Excuse me.
They're always
Ontario
on Caliente to me. I don't know what you're talking about.
Someone's saying Kobe Brown over Marcus Morris.
How we feel about the pick? Let's grade the pick. Instant grade. A plus or A plus plus?
A plus, bro. A plus.
Do you think they were?
has there.
What if they just did no research and they were like, shit, Kobe. I know that name.
You mean like they did with Oturu?
They knew how tall he was, kind of, for the most part.
They did not.
They knew he was over 6 feet tall.
At least
over 6
They
feet
thought he was a little bigger, though. They thought he looked bigger than he was.
Adam,
he had a shrunk spurt. You can't account for that.
That's true.
A shrunk spurt.
He drank a lot of coffee before he got to the Clippers.
Oh, yeah.
And
his bones just went. That's what happens. Your bones shrink up.
Chris H is saying, seems everyone on Twitter hates it.
Everyone on Twitter hates everything. Who?
Yeah, it's a
what would you love? What would you love at pick 30? And I mean, this is no disrespect to whoever's drafted at 30. Who are you loving at 30? What are we getting at 30? Sure. I love it if Victor fell. Some character issues.
Yeah.
Maybe he likes white wine, and everyone in France is like, that's how they get his draft stock to fall. I don't know. Like, what do we want at 30? How can you hate this pick? We have so many bigger issues. One of the things I love that Law talked about, and then we're going to wrap it up because we've been going for a strong
2:15. Yeah.
One of the things that Law brought up was it's win now. We need to think about now. And he's not wrong at all. It's kind of what Joseph was talking about. It's a little of what Adam was talking about with how much he wants to see Moses Brown. Like, this is for now. So what I'm saying is don't be upset at the 30th pick right now. I know you can send whatever stats you want at me about draft capital and yada, yada, yada. I reject them. It's the 30th pick for a team that needs to win now. There's so many other things to be mad about. Just don't be mad about this. Be mad about everything that Joseph and Adam and I have talked about. Don't be mad about the 30th pick.
Be mad at me. Don't be mad at either of them. Just be mad at me.
Be mad at Joseph. But I don't know. Joseph, I would tell you to plug something, but you're retired.
I am.
And you know what you do when you're retired? You come on a podcast because you have an hour of free time.
That's right. I just want to say I love you guys. Adam, you know that I love you. And you know that I'm doing a show. But
I like the way you put that.
I love
notice your name. Your new nickname's Money Talk now that you're
Money Talk, that's right. I love the Clippers. I want them to win. I want them to make me look like a big dumb idiot. So whatever that takes, I'm in. I'm all in. So
he's all in.
I'll be there.
Well, it's gonna take Russell Westbrook, so I'm sorry.
That's fine. If that's what it takes, that's what it takes. Okay. I hope.
Can I propose a bet?
Mm-hmm.
If at the end of next season, no matter what happens with the Clippers, if Ty Lue says again that Russell Westbrook saved the season, will you get a Russell Westbrook jersey?
Yeah, sure.
That's so awesome. Great. Because we used to have a bet that Will was going to eat a crow if John Wall shot over 40% from three.
Yeah.
That didn't happen.
Yeah. He got hurt, guys.
He got hurt. Yes.
I know you casuals didn't watch the season as intently as I did.
I love Petty Adam so much. Adam, where can these wonderful people find this podcast? All right. Also, the next podcast is coming out in a week. You should be done with this one by then. If not, no worries. Adam, where can these wonderful people find our content?
At Clippers Podcast fucking marathons is where you can find us. No, at Clippers Podcast on YouTube, at Clippers Pod on Twitter. Joseph, you still have a Twitter account.
I do, but you don't have to follow me because I'm probably not going to be tweeting much. So that's okay. Just follow Adam. Tell him how smart he is and how handsome he is.
They do that already. Plug yours, okay?
Yeah. Plug your Twitter, bro.
Don't take anything I say seriously because I'm just a fan with a lot of opinions, okay?
And life is a nightmare.
Yeah, life. I'm just a fan and clips are a nightmare. Yeah, there we go.
Exactly.
Nailed it.
Wait, before we go, you can find me at Chuck Mocker on Twitter. Find Will at Will Updike. Adam is at follow Adam A. We're gonna be back next week, but can we get a Clippers bro send off for the OGs who've been listening to myself and Will, who's usually here, do this. All right. Clippers Bro used to come on every now and then. Clippers Bro, how are you feeling about Kobe Brown at number 30?
Listen, bro, it's me. Nobody in this draft has been talking about the killer that is Kobe Brown. Okay, the dude is built like a tank. Zion might be, chasing women around, but Kobe Brown has the right mindset and the same physical build. Okay, the dude can jump out of the gym and shoot from deep. He's going to be starting and playing 40 minutes a night, bro. You don't need PG. You don't need Kawhi because it's clips in 3 till we DIE with Kobe. Okay, I'll hang up and listen.
Kobe, Clippers Bro, thank you so much. We'll be back next week. And as always, let's go Clippers.